Well, hello, welcome to Philip Hawke for this week's Borders Rugby Special. I'm Stuart Cameron. For the next 3 hours we'll bring you the very latest score updates and live commentary from our featured match today, which is Selkirk and Heriot's Blues in the Premiership. It's a game that means so much to both sides for different reasons. Selkirk, of course, needs 6 points from their remaining 2 games to get into the playoffs, while Heriot's Blues have 2 games left to avoid relegation, which is in their hands, but results elsewhere could see them safe by around 4:30 this afternoon. So let's start with a chat with the 2 coaches this afternoon. We'll hear from Selkirk head coach Scott White shortly, but earlier I had a chat with Heriot's Blues boss Phil Smith. Well, Phil, nervous times for everyone at the end of the season at the moment, but seeing the stiff task for GHA at Hawick today, you'll be kind of quietly confident, I think, that you'll get the points that you need.
I think the whole focus is just on us, and we've come down with one of the strongest teams in the season, so our hope is that we can do as much as we need to do today just to ease the pressure from next week.
And what's the mood like in the camp at the moment? Because obviously, it's hard not to get too involved, isn't it?
You know what, they're amateur rugby players. They come down and the first thing they look for is enjoyment. Of course they're trying to win every game, so the last couple of weeks have been brilliant. Training has not really changed as far as pressure. They're just kind of getting on with it and hoping that what we've been doing will work, and they back it, and we'll see today if they can do it.
And of course you're against Selkirk here at Philip Hawke, and amazingly Selkirk have been fantastic on the road, not so good at home, so I guess you're probably pleased it's at Philip Hawke and not Golden Acre, aren't you?
Well, I was until we turned up. And,
yeah, it's quite a pitch
we saw the
there.
swamp that we're going to play in this afternoon. However, everybody will turn up and do their thing, and we'll just, fingers crossed, get over the line.
Now, you mentioned a strong team. What is the team news?
So, Sean Johnson, he is back into the middle row, which is good news for us because it gives us a bit of extra weight. Our back row cover now, because Innes Hill and Sam Wallace have been really vying away at 6 and 7, but we've now got Martin Hughes back, who will be terrific for us, gives us another option in the line out and in the backs. Mikey Gray's come in on the wing with another guy, Fraser Stanier, who's done really well for the twos the last few weeks. So we've got, like I say, I feel as if Bobby Kay, he missed the last game and he's back in. We're just about as strong as we can be. And
you mentioned the pitch, so the conditions muddy, let's say, and it's going to be relentless rain throughout.
Yeah, I think it's taken a stud. That's the word anyway. And you know what? Hopefully the likes of a Graham Wilson, who has been fantastic for us most of the season, can just guide us, the boys around the pitch to the right times, and then over to them to do the next stage.
It's a day for experience, isn't it? And these are the characters you want on your side.
You're right, and our half-backs have got those experiences, and I just hope that the boys around them just buy into it and just listen to what they're saying, because 9 times out of 10 they're getting it right.
What's your own thoughts on the Premiership and the structure as well? Because obviously we have playoffs in the Premiership, which I don't personally like. I've always gone on record and said I think the best team should be. I mean, when you look at it, Selkirk 26 points behind Hawick could be Scottish champions.
It's been in a few years, because the first year it came in, we were top of the league, and we nearly got beat by Melrose at Golden Acre. I always remember that.
Yeah,
Jason Hill scored a last play try, but I fully accepted that was the rules we're in. And you know what, as far as excitement for the end of the season and revenue for clubs, it definitely brings something different, because for those semi-finals and finals, if you get to the final, there's an extra sort of urge to perform and put pressure on people, and the players like it, I have to tell you. And as for coaches, if you get into that position, it's great. It's just another advert opportunity to show people that the club game is in good fettle, and it is. In general, having come up from the National 1 last year, it's a different level, and you don't know that until you get there, having not been there because of the Super 6 situation. So it's been great for the boys, and we would love to be top 4, but we're not. But people that are in there, I think it's just a nice end to the season for them. And if you're the best team, you're the best team.
And do the clubs actually have a say in the structure? Because everyone says, it's the SAU decide, but it's not necessarily, isn't it? You do have Premiership forum and stuff, and so this is something voted for by the clubs. Yeah, the forum is pretty clear. Everybody gets a chance to put their views in, and I think they've done it over the last number of years. And I don't think a lot of people have said they don't like the top 4 playoff thing, and I think possibly down to the revenue and opportunity to extend the season a wee bit is quite good. Whether you should have the bottom, I don't know. They did that, I remember, a couple of years ago. I remember Hawick had to play at Last Wade in a game. It was a kind of a one up, one down situation, so I don't know how that worked, or Aki's. But
the clubs can control it, but I think they like it.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that insight there. It's always interesting to hear what the other clubs are thinking about that. We wish you obviously all the best in your bid to start off the old Premiership. I'm pretty confident that you'll get there. So we wish you all the best of luck today. Thanks. Here at Philip Hawke.
Okay. Cheers.
Well, join me now live at the back of the stand is Scott White, the head coach of Selkirk. You mentioned last night about the season being very, very disjointed. Would you like to see the league season over by Christmas and concentrate everything in one bit, or are you happy the way things are at the moment?
Well, no, I think it was scheduled to end on the 28th of January this year, and I think just due to weather, obviously, you then start using up standby dates and stuff, and then it kind of then approaches obviously the Six Nations. So it's a tricky time to kind of juggle, because obviously the boys are obviously wanting to probably get the best of watching the Super Six Nations, but obviously we've got a job to do here as well in terms of playing games. So I mean, look, it's something we speak about every year in terms of what is the best structure, how does it look, and I think it's probably still not been answered really.
And from a Selkirk perspective, of course, the good news for you is that you're 26 points behind Hoyk and you could still be Scottish champions. How about that?
Amazing, eh? We've got a job to do, so we've still got 6 points to get out the next 2 games. So it starts today. Conditions are what they are. Obviously, you've spoke with that previously about with Phil there from HERIOT'S. So it is rather damp. So it probably. It puts a big emphasis on forwards turning up today and give us the platform to play in the right areas, and then. We've got the half-backs there and Jacko in at 12 that hopefully can guide us around the pitch and get us in the right areas.
Lots of analysis is always done by coaches and players as well, and you have your various meetings. How do you analyse your away record this year compared with your home record, which I think it's something like 5 home losses, isn't it? And you've won all your away matches apart from Mbaraki's, and that's one you should have won.
I had a chance right enough at the end. I don't know. If I knew that, our home form would be excellent as well. And I don't know. Is it a bit of fear of boys playing at home, which definitely shouldn't be the case. It should really be the other way. But look, I can't answer it. I don't know, because if I knew that, would be sitting from 16 or close to it. But boys have been excellent on the bus. And in terms of away, I don't know if it's a wee bit camaraderie, boys on the bus turning up, a wee bit more relaxed in each other's company. But as I've said this week, it's like we've had a huge amount of pressure on us. The guys know what to do. Obviously, training's probably not been as fluent as we'd have liked. And it's like they've got a huge amount of pressure. And like what I've said to them today, the main thing is we go out there and enjoy it. And I think if boys are enjoying the rugby, we'll hopefully score points, and then the correct result will follow.
And you've got a good set of backs out there, and you do enjoy throwing the ball about. Obviously, conditions today, very wet. It's going to be relentless all the way through. It's already got some standing water on there, and a bit of a sort of quagmire really down there. It's not one to be in the backs really throwing the ball around. How do you see this going? Because you've played in games like this before, where the conditions haven't suited running rugby.
No, I mean, look, I've backed them in terms. I've said, look, go out and have a crack. And I think if we play within ourselves and try and go up front, I'm not too sure that suits us. Albeit we look at the HERIOT'S game up there, we probably had the upper hand up front, and we're probably inaccurate in the backs. So look, we've trained this week. We're trying to play with a wee bit width. And look, I've said, let's go out there and back it. Let's see how we can get on. And I'm sure we've got the players on the pitch to be able to make changes during the game if that's not going to plan. We've went with a 4-1 split today on the bench as well, so we've got 4 forwards on the bench as well. So we've got a wee bit of firepower to come off the bench as well if the game goes down that way. Which, if you're a betting man, you're probably saying it's going to go that way.
And a big crowd, hopefully, to support you boys.
Hopefully it's great. So the team gets sponsored by a shirt sponsor all season. So it's the day in the club today to say thanks to them for being part of the season that we've had. And so all the sponsors that sponsor the number, they're all in for lunch, and there's another couple of people in for sponsors. So, and also, look, it's our last home game of the season. So I mean, I said, look, let's finish on a high. Let's, we've still got a lot of rugby to come up. We've got Border League final to look forward to. We've obviously got Curry next week. Hopefully, if we manage to get the points, we then get a semi-final across at Hoyk. So there's still a lot of rugby, but I think given the season that we've had at home, we've not really performed. And I said, look, as much as it's pleasing people that come watch, I think we've got to be happy with our own performance in camp as well. And boys haven't been happy the way we've performed. and that's evident in the group. They've highlighted that they want to finish the season on a high at home.
And you mentioned the Border League final. It's at Galashiels at Nidderdale this year. I think there's about 3 dates, isn't it, in the mix? But it's possibly a Monday or a Tuesday.
Yes, aye. So we had looked at Fridays or Saturdays available, and the thing is, with Melrose being in National 1, they're obviously playing right through to the 15th of April. We had kind of looked to play on the Friday night before the Super Saturday. They've actually got guys away on holiday, but I'm led to believe Gala are actually playing bigger on the Friday night, so weren't able to play. So that was about the only available Friday night, believe it or not. So it's just trying to work out what's best, because then we play Musselburgh on the 25th of March. And, if we happen to get beat by Musselburgh, however that match, I'm not wanting the players hanging about in terms of the boys that aren't going to be interested in sevens and stuff. So it's important we try and get a date in the diary as quick as possible. So we went for Monday the 20th, Tuesday the 21st, or Tuesday the 28th.
So there we are. We will see what happens there, and it'll be obviously against Melrose.
Against Melrose at Gala.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, all the best for today, of
Thank
course.
you.
Big match for the club, and let's hope you get your 5 points.
Hopefully, Stuart.
All the best.
Cheers.
That's Scott White, of course, head coach of Selkirk, and earlier on it was Phil Smith, who is the team boss at Heriot's Blues. Well, the commentary team today will be Scott Tomlinson, also Bruce Millar. Hello, Bruce. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm good, thank you,
Yeah,
Stuart.
good to see you. It's all quiet at the back now at the moment, but you can just feel a little bit of tension building.
I don't think it'll be very quiet. Yes, I think the number of people that are due to come out of that club room, Scott mentioned, it was the thank you to the sponsors. And I know I'm going a bit off topic here, but I'm just looking down the list of shirt sponsors, and it just reminds you the history of this club, Selkirk, and how big a club it is when you look at some of the names. I'll not list them all, because I think I'd be doing the others a disservice to leave a few of them out, but it's there's a lot of international players, and
I was going to say you'd have a Selkirk team and a shirt sponsor team.
You could quite, yes. In fact, if you turned out some of the shirt sponsors, I think they might do a job today.
Absolutely, because you've got Ivan Tukalo, John Rutherford, there's some good big names amongst that lot, but of course they're not. It's the younger generation that's turning out today, and I mentioned it with Scott there about the incredible away form of Selkirk this season. It's been absolutely remarkable, unheard of when you consider that they've scored 4 try bonuses only, which is actually the worst in the league, compared with Musselburgh, who are in sort of second last with 7 try bonuses. Strange.
It's very odd, and we've just heard Scott there saying he doesn't really have an answer for it, and he doesn't seem overly concerned. And in some respects, I mean, I still we'll get to today's game shortly, I'm sure. I expect they'll do a job today, but they're still going to have to go and get something at Curry next weekend, and then that would get them an away league semi-final at Hoyk, and then an away final, assuming they came through that. So in some ways, it's maybe not a bad thing that they play well on the road. And I do wonder if he's onto something when he speaks about the pressure's off when you go away. You enjoy each other's company on the bus journey, and I think there's something to be said for that.
Well, it's been a tremendous season for them, I have to say, away from home. But what about Heriot's then? They come here today. They've had 2 points deducted, which is something which has kind of come back to haunt them a wee bit within the season. But to be honest, when you look at Hoyk at home and their form against GHA and Musselburgh, obviously the other contenders for the drop, I would put my money on Heriot's staying up.
I'm not so sure, but we'll find out today, because I think I'm right in saying that both GHA, they do, both GHA and Musselburgh have their final games of the season today. I don't think GHA will get anything at. Actually, I'm going to contradict myself here, because I think GHA won't get anything at Hoyk. Musselburgh looked favourites to go down for a while. I think they might well get something today, which would put them above GHA, and then it's them who have to sweat on Heriot's results, and then Heriot's are just having to look at probably losing bonus points. Tricky game for them today, and they entertain Edinburgh Accies next weekend. Of course, Accies sitting in third. At least it's a home game for them, and you know how desperate teams perform at this stage of the season. You can throw the form from earlier in the season goes out the window when we get to this sort of stage.
Well, I was mentioned to Phil, and obviously briefly to Scott as well, about the league structure and how, I mean, I've never been a fan of playoffs at the top level. I mean, it doesn't happen in Football League. I mean, you don't see Man United and Arsenal and all the rest of them having extra games after a long season. And the possibility that Selkirk, 26 points behind, could actually be Scottish champions with that sort of record that we just discussed. Nothing against Selkirk, it's just the way it is. But as he says, the clubs like it because it's extra revenue. But where would you stand on something like this? Because I think I've always been a kind of, you win the league.
Yeah, I've got mixed feelings, because I agree entirely with that. It'd almost be a bit of a travesty if Hoyk weren't champions at the end of the day. But you've mentioned the extra games, the sponsorship, and it just keeps teams interested because you could have somebody who's, well, I think Hoyk probably would have been a good example this year. That you run away with it, you've got the league won by Christmas, and then teams they just lose interest. Players drift away from the other clubs, and they've got nothing to play for, and you end up with just a huge mid-table with nothing really to play for. The teams battling it out to avoid relegation. We already know who the champions are, so I'm not sure that makes much sense. But if I had to choose, I'd probably keep it, but I do sympathise with those who don't like it.
That's right. Well, that's something that we'll be talking about, no doubt, in coming weeks. But after the break, we're going to look ahead at the Borders teams playing today in the Premiership and also the National Leagues.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
Hi, Nicky Walker here, Curriculum Manager for Borders College Sport. Are you passionate about sport? If so, then look out for the return of our Borders College rugby, football and hockey courses in early 2023.
Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
To commemorate the 7th anniversary of the opening of the Borders Railway, an 8 DVD box set is now available featuring the complete series Borders Railway from start to finish, plus the full hour-and-a-half documentary 5 years on, which examines the possibility of an extension to Carlisle, plus extra features including a cab journey along the entire Borders Railway, all for the special price of just £14.99, including post and packing. You can get your copy direct from hotdisc.co.uk/shop. That's hotdisc.co.uk/shop. The 8 DVD box set is available now.
You've tuned at an affordable price. Up here in a You Tackle the Ball, We'll Tackle the Weather. For when the heavens open.
Borders Rugby TV's charity partner Evie's Baton Journey is having a ball on March the 25th at Springwood Park, Kelso. Tickets and sponsorship details are now available on the official Facebook page, which you can visit from bordersrugby.net. Evie's having a ball, March the 25th, Springwood Park, Kelso.
We're now going to take a little look back. I spoke to Dale Clancy last night. We went through everything. The first match, of course, is Hoyk against GHA happening at Mansfield Park. And first of all, let's hear from the head coach, Matty Douglas.
In terms of perspectives for both clubs, it's a big game. GHA are at the other end of the table. They're in a relegation battle and a dogfight. So look, they need to win on Saturday, so we're under no illusion that we can take this for granted and just turn up and win. After Christmas we had some big performances, and look, we've had a couple of first halves that where we've maybe not quite been where we have been, and the players have identified areas that we can work on that. And look, we're excited to get back onto Mansfield after a week off, and it's a big game for us, as if we win we'll finish top of the table with a game to spare, so that's another massive driver for us as a squad. And again, just building performances into the playoffs in 2 weeks' time. This is the business end. We've worked really hard over the course of the season, and look, for us, the pressure's on us. We get that, we know that, and it's about how we deal with that and how we now perform and back up these league wins. So yeah, look, it'll be a big occasion on Saturday. Obviously we'll be very much looking to win, and then from there the hard work continues with a league game left next week and then into the playoffs. So yeah, look, GHA are they'll come and they'll have a game plan and they'll try to execute it, so we need to be ready for that and stick to ours, and I feel if we do that then hopefully we'll be on the right end of the result. Just quick team news. Not a lot of changes for the Jed game. Couple of personnel rotations. Front row is Sean Muir, Fraser Rennick, Rudy McLeod, Dalton Redpath and Sean Fairbairn in the middle row. Connor Sutherland, Callum Rennick and Stuart Graham make up the back row. In the backs, Hector Patterson comes back in, as does Kyle Brunton. In the centres is Ethan Riley and Andrew Mitchell. In a back three, Rona McKean, Lewis Ferguson and Kirk Ford. On the bench is Ross Graham, Tom Hope, Jay Linton, Gareth Welsh and Charlie Welsh. Comes onto the bench. He'll make his Premiership debut this weekend after a great game against Jed a couple of weeks ago, so we're giving him an opportunity in the Premiership this week. So looking at, again, a competitive squad, and yeah, there's one thing on our mind this weekend, and that's putting in a performance and getting a win.
Yeah, very, very serious sounding Matty as usual. Certainly not taking GHA for granted.
Yeah, I think in terms of his persona as a coach, he's a very focused individual. He takes his role and responsibility as Hawick head coach very seriously. And, he's blessed with a great squad as well this year. You can hear from the names that he's reeling off. There's, a real strength and depth of that squad. Even with you're losing the likes of Daniel Sudden. That's a huge loss for them. But the partnership that they've got in the middle row is still strong. The back row, a lot of options in the front row as well. They've swapped out the half-backs this week, which I think is probably was going to be the call anyway, but it's the right call after the Jed performance. It just didn't really click. It didn't really work with Kirkford at fly half. So, Hector Patterson just does bring that zip, but he's a player on the radar of a lot of teams as well. So it's going to be another kind of game, another step towards the building for what's going to come in the playoffs, and they can obviously secure that home advantage for every single round if they get that win over the line this weekend.
Well, the Will McLaren Shield still in the Mansfield Park trophy cabinet, occasionally popping out for a day trip, but always returning home, and they'll feel lost without it, won't they? So, again, another focus. Yeah,
it's almost like it. If Hawick are to go on and win the Premiership again and retain that Bill McLaren Shield, it's almost like it's been written in the stars type thing to have that, the story and the history behind it. But they've went on an unbeaten run since obviously the start of the season. They did get that draw against Selkirk, but they've looked, anybody that's kind of came to Mansfield, certainly the games that we've covered, they've looked second best by quite a distance. They're the strongest squad in Scotland at the moment in club rugby. They're favourites for this fixture, but not just this one, as you go on weeks and weeks. And even if they lose a few personnel, there's probably some, I think, if they were to lose either Ethan Riley or Andrew Mitchell, they're big holes to fill. But hopefully they go through the rest of the season unscathed, because it would be a shame to lose those two pivotal players. But likes of those players are, that's probably where they don't have as much depth as perhaps throughout the rest of the squad.
Well, the other match involving a local team tomorrow is Jed Forest against Edinburgh Accies. Two teams that are in a safe place, Accies in the playoffs and the Jed free from relegation worries. So what sort of game can we expect tomorrow at Riverside Park? Well, Jed head coach Andrew Brown gives us his thoughts.
Yeah, so this week sees our last game of the league against Edinburgh Accies. Obviously the rearranged game from the frosty weather. We're really looking forward to this game. Everybody's sort of on a high. Everybody's looking forward to finishing on a high and getting a decent result and having most of all enjoying the game. We're looking to play a bit of rugby and finish on a high. Obviously Edinburgh Accies are pushing quite hard. They're safe at where they're at. They're not dependent on any results or anything like that, so we'll wait to see what they bring. But all the same, we'll focus on us and focus on what we're about. Last few weeks, obviously, results haven't really gone our way, but we competed really well against Hawick to the point whereby it was 3 quite soft tries, really, which was the difference in the game in the end. But boys enjoyed it. We move on, and Hawick are doing really well, so it's credit to them to where they're at the moment. There's no real changes. John Story starts at loose head with Finlay Scott, Hooker and Paulo Ferreira at tight head. Matthew Atkinson and Clark Skeldon in the second row. Ben McNeil, Gary Young and Ben Fotheringham in the back row. Lewis Walker continues at 9 and is doing really well. And Callum Young starts at 10 again. Owen Cranston, Gregor Young in the centres. Mason Cullen at 15 with Robbie Shearer-Gibb and Lewis Elder on the wings. Andrew Sweeney, JB Hind, Harry Meadows, Blake Roth all start on the bench. Really looking forward to the game. And finishing on a high and at Riverside, it should be a good day, and should be some good rugby. Both teams like to throw the ball about and like a high tempo. So hopefully we'll see plenty of ball in play time and some good rugby.
High scoring game.
Yeah, I think that's what it's lined up to be. As he's just said there, like both teams do like to throw the ball around, and that was one of the games last year when Edinburgh Accies were really striving for the playoffs that Jed put on such a great performance at Riverside. So, it's going to be one of those games that Jed will be targeting because, as you say, they're free from relegation, their kind of gloves are off. Edinburgh Accies, they're probably just preparing themselves for the playoffs as well because they're solid in there. They're not going to be caught in third place. They probably won't be able to get to second place at all. No, they can't with the games that are left. So in terms of 1, 2 and 3 in the playoffs, there's not a lot to play for but relegation's still there, and obviously 4th position. So this is one of those games that, you know, both teams can just go out, play some rugby, enjoy it, and especially for Jed, they can probably bring the curtain down on what has been I think quite a progressive season for them. I think Andrew Brown can be proud of the job that he's done at Jed Forest to, you know, really galvanise that squad, brings a lot of young players through as well, and there seems to be, we spoke to Clark Skeldon, there seems to be a good feel-good factor at Riverside just now.
And Mar, they're already in the clubhouse, using a golfing term. They've played all their 18 games. They just sit and wait now and hope that Selkirk don't get that 6 points to overturn their 4th position. And there's no game for Curry tomorrow either. But the other match is Glasgow Hawks against Musselburgh. And fair play to Musselburgh, as we said earlier, for getting themselves in a position where they could realistically survive for another season. It is going to be an interesting battle. It's either going to be GHA, Musselburgh or Heriots Blues that go down.
Yeah, and we've talked about the league structure as well, and I think that's something that makes it really interesting, is the fact that, you know, we are entering the last few games of the season and there's still so much to play for. There's a lot of twists and turns that could, you know, happen, and this weekend is is going to have a lot of say in terms of how the kind of final weekend for most teams. There's obviously, you know, they're indifferent in terms of the games that they've played, but, you know, this weekend's going to have a huge say in terms of, you know, where teams are going to be playing the rugby either the rest of this season in the playoffs and next season as well.
And of course, with the Premiership starting a week early and it having 10 teams instead of 12, Premiership's nearly done and dusted before the playoffs. But plenty of work to be done in National 1 and 2 and 3, of course, as well. And league leaders Kelso from National 1, they're away at Stirling County this week. Here's Director of Rugby at Kelso, Neil Hennigan.
One change from the team that started against Dundee a fortnight ago. Charlie Marshall starts at hooker in place of Ewan Knox, who drops to the bench. And on the replacements, Cammy Brown comes in for Aaron Lunn. Apart from that, there's no changes, so pretty settled side. Stirling are fighting for their lives at the third bottom of the league, and on equal points with Watsonians and GHK, and you know they're desperate for points, so that'll make it an interesting game when they're on their home patch. They've had some pretty good results, obviously notably beating Melrose earlier in the season. They also held Ayr to 18-10, which was, you know, we've got to look at the teams around us that have been there. They're obviously very capable of matching us up on the day at home, so Kelso are going to have to be up for it and get what we need out of the game and keep trying to move forward in the league.
Not taking any chances tomorrow is Neil. They need a win and preferably a bonus point.
Yeah, but it's interesting to hear the results that are obviously playing on his mind in terms of the two challengers round about them. You know, to Melrose getting beat away to Stirling County, that's obviously, when you look at the table, it's a huge swing for them. With the 2 points deducted in that defeat, they could almost be neck and neck with Kelso, if not ahead of them. So, you know, that's an interesting result, and it was tight against Ayr. So Kelso have been, you know, really impressive in a lot of games that I've seen them in so far this season. They're not there by fluke. They're at the top because, you know, they've maintained a standard throughout. But you do feel that Gala result potentially could rattle a little bit of confidence. But they've got the experience in there, the likes of Bruce McNeil, Andy Tate as well, you know, Frankie Robson. They've got a lot of players there with a lot of experience and a lot of young players, which are, you know, real standout players as well. Dwayne Patterson, to name just one, is, you know, he's a player who can really turn it on and win a game on his own. So you feel Kelso have got the personnel, but this is going to be a big kind of question in terms of their promotion capabilities this season.
Melrose also looking for 5 points from their home game against Biggar, which is a fixture they won earlier in the season. Of course, that was the game that they had 2 points deducted for that scrummage issue. Here's Melrose boss Bert Gregg.
Obviously, all these games are now massive for us in terms of the league season, so expecting a pretty physical encounter from Biggar, but hoping we've got enough to get us over the line. Last Friday night's game was probably a good sort of practice for that. Pretty physical encounter, which we managed to get over the line in the end. A few changes to the team. Angus Runciman misses out due to an injury, so we see Ross McConnell returning to the side. Ben Weir drops to the bench, and Ben McLean comes in to start at number 8 after recovering from an injury. Rolly Brett keeps the 12 shirt after impressing in his first game in 14 months last week. And Connor Spence likewise comes in on the wing after impressing off the bench versus Peebles. goals, and Bruce Colvin returns to his familiar position of 9. So yeah, all in all, looking forward to what will be a very competitive game of rugby on Saturday.
Biggar, always stuffy, always physical. Melrose in need of a good performance, despite the fact that they are managing to get over the line to grab the vital points. But as Struan Hutchison said to us after the Peebles game last week, they need to really up their performances for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but there's probably no better team in that league to, be in a position to do that, because Melrose have been there and done it. Maybe not in this division, but they've got a lot of players that have won at the highest level. They've won everything pretty much there is in the game. So, they certainly have the characters in the changing room that will be able to drag the younger players through. And the younger players will be wanting to, stamp their little bit of history on it as well, because they'll know that what it means to represent Melrose. That's coming from a Peebles guy. Right? But Melrose have always been, in my time playing, the standout team in the Borders. It just with the restructure of rugby, they find themselves in National 1. But certainly they're in a good position to get themselves back into the hunt. A lot of big games still to come in this division, but they do need to bring a little bit more continuity and a little bit more solidity to their performances, because even the one against Peebles, the victory against Peebles, they got over the line in a really difficult evening. It was challenging conditions, but they should have been beaten in by a clear 15-20 points at least. But what happened was Peebles played really, really well and cut out their strengths. Melrose couldn't cope with it, and it became a bit of a dogfight. And, it was a great game to watch, but Melrose will be aware of that and know that they need to up their performance levels.
It was interesting as well, because as we know, the Border League has had pools of Premiership teams and pools of National 1 teams. In the National 1, where they don't have assistant referees and they just have touch judges. For this one, because it was a one-off game, they actually had two assistant referees and a referee, which meant the big decision, which was called by the assistant referee for Donald Crawford getting that last try, wouldn't have been made in normal circumstances if it was a National 1 game.
Yeah, and I just think now we should probably just award the points to Peebles then, and we'll get that first victory over Melrose. But
I was just giving a smile on your face.
Yeah, that's just it, and I think that's the difference. That kind of echoes what I was saying previously. Melrose have done it. They know how to be streetwise. They know how to play the game. A Peebles guy said to me afterwards that they weren't used to playing with touch, and that's a point that they say they're not used to being in that environment. They've not been there for a few years, so it's something that played in Melrose's favour on that occasion, and they managed to keep Peebles away from getting that one victory. But by the by, that's Melrose, and Melrose are in the hunt for National 1, so they'll be wanting to put in a good performance and pick up the win.
And it was atrocious conditions, and I have to say the handling was really, really good. There was a lot of running rugby on Friday night.
Yeah, this has turned into a little bit of a plaudits for the Peebles Melrose game, but it was horrible conditions. It was windy, it was really, really wet, it was relentless rain. The first time there's been rainfall in Peebles for about 7 years, but it was relentless, and the skill level of both teams was really good. I thought defensively Peebles were excellent. They cut off the 13 channel. They were rushing up and, really stopping that outside option, which Melrose like to do. Melrose like to play it really wide and stretch teams. They like to go one way and then go the other. They just weren't able to do that against Peebles. And I think the rain and the clatchy conditions did help Peebles, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you play at the conditions. The squads both have the same objective to win, and Melrose just managed to get over the line. But it was a great game.
But back to National 1 again, and we must mention Ayr, who are the contenders as well, along with Melrose and Kelso for that one promotion spot. They're at home to Dundee tomorrow, who are, obviously Ayr very much in the hunt, and Dundee dismantled by Kelso the other week.
Yeah, and I said that Melrose are probably the best placed team in that division. They're probably neck and neck with Ayr, to be fair, because they've been, tussling for years to try and get the cups and the league titles from one another. There's been Heriots that have been in thereabouts as well throughout that time. But, Ayr have put themselves in another great position. They've managed to weather the storm, I feel, of Super 6. And obviously Heriots got themselves in the Prem. Only one team goes up yet again, so Ayr will be really itching to get back into the Premiership, and Kelso will be, looking over their shoulder. They'll be nervous. That puts pressure on. I think as a club, you would rather be chasing than be chased. So Ayr and Melrose have got themselves in a good position, because if they fall away, nobody notices. But if you get caught at the top of a table, people they stand up and take notice.
And certainly, if Ayr are going to get promoted, they've got to do it the hard way by going to Melrose, which they've done. That's the first of the three big matches away from home. They've got Gala at the end of the season, and they've still got to go to Kelso.
Yeah, and I remember sitting here a few weeks ago, and we were talking about the games at Poynter Park and how the way that Kelso were playing, it was almost as if, yes, they'll get over the line. And there was just a gut feeling that one of the games they were going to come unstuck. And I didn't really think it was going to be against Gala. I thought it'd be tight. I thought it would be a difficult game for them. But Gala put in a great performance that day. It was a really, really good game again. You know, as a neutral, a game of rugby, it was really good because you had a contrast in styles. The team with probably the more attractive style of rugby for me did win. But you know, Kelso lost the first of the difficult catalogue of games. They still got 2 to come, and that could really change the season. That could make it from being the early pace setters to all of a sudden they could finish third. So it's going to be interesting.
And it's still 8 weeks away.
I know there's still a long way to go in this league as opposed to the Premiership, which is kind of almost coming to an end. But yeah, it's that's the nature of club rugby. You've got to ride a little bit of luck at times. Sometimes the weather might not be favourable. You might get injuries. But it's a marathon, and all those 3 teams have still got a lot to play for, and I think they'll all fancy their chances as well. I don't think anybody will think they're second favourites at the moment.
Well, Gala play at home against Highland at Netherdale, and as we hear now from player coach Ewan Dodds, they need to right a few wrongs from their match at Highland earlier in the season when Highland won.
Highland make the long trip to Netherdale, where we look to try and build on the momentum that we've gained over the last couple of weeks, where we've put in some pretty good performances. We know that we can't rest on our laurels, and although we played well against Glasgow Hawks last time out, we unfortunately never got the result, so we know that we need to improve again. When we travelled up to Highland earlier on in the season, we put in a very average performance, so we look to right some wrongs for that day and kickstart our league campaign for the rest of the season. We've made it pretty clear as a group that we feel that we can go unbeaten for the rest of the season, but that's only talking. It's time to go out and put it into action on Saturday. We've got a pretty settled squad. Hopefully we'll have a couple of guys returning from injury, and the team will be released either tonight or tomorrow.
Gala targeting a winning end to the season, and no reason why they can't do that as well. Plenty of rugby left in that division.
Yeah, and it's funny speaking about Gala now because, you know, months ago when Gala were, you know, in the race for promotion, it's almost as if they've had a disappointing season, but they're in 4th position against 3 teams who have, you know, have been on points. You look at the table, they're clearly better than the rest of the teams in that league at the moment. So in terms of Gala, they put in a great performance against Kelso. They had a sticky patch in the middle where they suffered 3 or 4 really heavy defeats. You know, 3 definitely come to mind. The one against Ayr, the one against Melrose, and Watsonians was a heavy defeat as well. So, you know, they're all big games where that's probably what's undone them this season. But, you know, they're still 4th in that division. They were almost promoted last year, so they're still there or thereabouts. It's just a matter of then building towards what's going to come next year, trying to bring those youngsters through as well, because they've got a whole clutch of really talented youngsters. So, you know, it's not all doom and gloom at Gala, because I was really impressed by the performance at Poinder. So they'll be looking to build on that and continue. It's just going to be interesting to see who's going to be in coaching next year, I think, because there's going to be a few vacancies. Selkirk's going to be vacant. Gala's going to be vacant, so you do wonder if there'll be any, you know, personnel moves in the club game.
Added spice tomorrow as well is the fact that Gala are just 1 point ahead of Highland, so if Highland win that one, they go above Gala into 4th place, so plenty at stake. And you mentioned about the young names coming through. I was particularly impressed with young Pate in the centre at Kelso, and there's a few others.
Yeah, Pate, first and foremost, actually, he doesn't even know this, but I'm almost due him an apology, because I did see him against Melrose and I thought he was exposed, to say the least, and I felt really sorry for him, because I thought he was almost in that environment and he wasn't ready. His performance against Kelso was really mature. You know, it was fearless at times, because his angle of running was really good. He runs direct, he runs hard, he's very slight, but he's difficult to try and pin down, and his handling skills as well. And that try for Glendinning in the corner, you know, he was instrumental in the break and the link-up play, which ended up allowing Gala to get into that position. So I was really impressed with Pate, and also I think Glendinning and Rutherford are really good players. Glendinning I've been a fan of since I've seen him at the Dam Health when they played Melrose in the Shield final that we covered. I think he's a tenacious young wee git, and he's quite a hardy young burly character. But he's skillful. He's a guy that can play hooker. He's been playing in the back row, and I think he's got a really bright future if he's managed and nurtured in the right way.
International 2 and Peebles warmed up for their game against second-placed Glasgow Accies tomorrow with that big performance against Melrose at the Geights last Friday night in the Border League, almost making history by beating Melrose for the first time. In fact, they were in the lead with 3 minutes to go and almost stopped Melrose from getting into the Border League final. Here's Peebles head coach, who wasn't there, Ian Chisholm.
When it's come to playing against other Border sides in the past, Peebles have been guilty of probably curling up in a ball and just letting the opposition kick us. Last week it was an awesome performance, and loads of people put their hands up for this week, and it was a great opportunity for us to, win a bit of respect and go about testing our systems against essentially opponents in a league we want to be in. I wasn't there, I'm on holiday at the moment, but my heart rate was going 100 miles an hour, getting updates on the phone, and I felt inspired by the boys' performance, and I'm sure the rest of the playing squad that weren't involved on Friday night did as well. I thought we were awesome, and I thought we were unlucky not to get the win. A meter's worth a leg drive when Donald Crawford scores in the corner there, and we were probably one decision away from being the first Peebles side to beat a Melrose side, and that's a really positive part of our journey for sure. And it's given us a lot of belief, and it's given us a lot of confidence going into the remainder of our league games. Our squad selection this week, we've backed the boys that fronted up on Friday night. And we've gone with a similar starting squad. We've got a few changes. We're still missing regulars: Dave Collins, Frey McKeever, Jack Harrison, Andrew Brown, Ewan Jackson, Kenny Clyde, Rowan McKeever. Cammy Pye misses out this week with a knee injury. And also this week, which it's just part of club rugby, isn't it? It's frustrating. Scott Stoddart, who we just had come back from injury. We've not seen much of him this year. I thought he was awesome at fullback on Friday night. And he just encompassed our, always attacking mentality. And one thing we do have is that we have Rob Harrison back from his ban. He got a straight red card against Berwick, and we were absolutely adamant that this was just going to be wiped off. But the referees panel obviously backed the referee, and he ended up getting a 2-week ban for a tackle, which was late. We agree with that, but there was no malicious intent in it or anything. It wasn't high, and Rob took the cup for that. But again, look, it is what it is, and we just have to get on with it. So our squad to go up there and take on Glasgow Accies at the weekend is 1 John Gray, 2 John Napier, 3 Lewis Copeland, and look, that's a really young front row. And they're learning loads every week from Neil Hogarth and from Willie Aitken. It bodes really well for the future, especially because we went into Friday night's game with the same front row, and they coped really, really well. In the second rows, we've got Ross Brown and Sean Brotherston. Sean's performed really well over the last few weeks for the Reds. His involvements have been really high. And look, he deserves his opportunity, and I thought he played really well on Friday night. So look, we're going to back the guys that fronted up, and all 3 of these guys in the back row were absolutely outstanding. Murdo Anderson, Finlay Collins, and Finlay Sinclair. They just keep us ticking at the moment. They're all defensive leaders for us, and they're all really positive blokes that just want to keep us going forward. Halfbacks, we've got Caleb McKeever and Donald Anderson. We're really keen to keep Donald at 10 and keep a bit of continuity from Friday night. He kicks the ball well from the backfield, and that's where we want him defending. And he also makes us tick. His skills are outstanding. And if you look at the conditions on Friday night, for us to be as brave as we were with the ball and be that ambitious, it all started with Donald. Halfback wise, this is probably Kaelin's. He is an out and out 9, and we've only had an out and out 9 on 2 occasions this season so far. So we're excited to get Kaelin back. He cut off a bit of his thumb earlier in the season, and he's also away back to college. So we're looking forward to him being back in the squad again. Our centres, Rob Harrison returns from his 2-week ban, and James Dow, who last week we moved from the wing into the centre. And look, I think we found a position for James. His late movements off the ball, they're really key, and I love the way that he fades away from the ball just as he's about to catch it, then squares up, and he's able to put people through holes. And of course, he's really solid defensively, and he's really energetic. And if you look at his body language just in defence, he's really, really keen to show the behaviours that we value around our defence. And so we're excited to see him there, and hopefully he can make a good run of it at 13. And then Robin Smith, who started the game on the wing against Melrose last week, he was someone at the start of the year that we thought would get an opportunity with the first team. He played pretty well for the Reds earlier in the season and had a really good pre-season, then injured his shoulder, so he was out for a wee while. So again, he He's probably still getting back to match fitness, but again, he was good on Friday night, and we're going to back him. And because Scotty Stoddart's still out, because Dave Collins is still out, because we're still missing Jack Harrison, I'm going to be playing fullback on Saturday. I'm looking forward to getting back with the squad, and just need to make sure that my lungs hold up. On the bench, we have Willie Aitken, Neil Hogarth, Jay Coltman returns after he suffered a quad injury and he was out for 2 to 3 weeks, and Kami Pai, he essentially has failed a fitness test. He's struggling with his knee, and we want to give him another week to get himself right. So Neil Pate comes onto the bench, and we're looking forward to seeing what Neil could do. He's been in and out the squad a lot this season, and we really want him to take this opportunity. But we're going into this weekend with a lot of confidence, and if we stick to systems, if we're really disciplined around how we want to play tactically, and look emotionally and physically, we don't want any unnecessary cards, and we don't want to give Aki's any unnecessary access to our half by giving away loads of penalties. So look, we're getting there. Boys are starting to understand the sort of habits and behaviours that make up the bigger picture for us. So we're really excited for this weekend, and confident that we can go up there and get a result and get ourselves back in the hunt for promotion in that one.
And it's interesting you mention that, because a couple of weeks ago he more or less conceded promotion's not, that's beyond them now, and now it's kind of back on the table.
Yeah, I think that they've almost given themselves a little bit of a lifeline, and especially with the result this weekend, it does squeeze the gap slightly, but it doesn't really close it. There's 3 teams above them that have got more than one victory away. Like they would have to win a couple and hope that they slip up, and to want that from 3 teams is quite a big ask, but it at least gives them a target. And off the back of their performance, then they do go into this with confidence. I do feel a bit sorry for Ian Chisholm, because he's praised every single member of that squad, and then he's listed himself as 4th choice fullback. So he's it just shows you the kind of confidence he does have in that squad. And to name the front row especially, there's a lot of players in there that get plaudits or have had plaudits over the years, that I would still praise very highly. But the front row that played against Melrose on Friday night put in a great shift, and it's great to see them back this weekend, because they've got the likes of Aitken and Hogarth on the bench that have a lot of experience. But the squad's been utilised well, so hopefully people can put in a performance and put a bit of pressure on Accies, Newton Stewart and Falkirk at the top of the table.
Berwick have a golden opportunity to get 5 much-needed points in National 2 in their bid to avoid the 5-team drop zone. They play second-bottom club Cartha Queen's Park at Scremiston tomorrow, and the head coach is Colin Young.
This weekend at Berwick we host Cartha Queen's Park. Due to the absenteeism of Nathan Melrose and Alex Orr, who's unavailable this weekend, we welcome back Jack Webster, who's been off with an Achilles injury. So our captain returns, Ryan Wilson will move into the front row, and Ewan Thompson moves into the second row with James Greven in the back row. We'll be hoping for a nice calm day where we'll be able to play some rugby and effectively put our game plan, what we've been working on this weekend at training, into play. We went up to Cartha earlier on in the season, and we managed to come away with 5 points from there. So if the boys knuckle down, do the basics well, we should be looking for another victory. But we won't take anything for granted. Cartha's been playing pretty well of late. I don't think they travel that well, but we'll be looking forward to the game.
Colin Young, the head coach of Berwick, and I give you a little sneak preview at the moment. That game kicked off at 2 o'clock, and it's good news for Berwick at the moment at Scremiston. It's Berwick 31, Cartha Queen's Park 10 in that one. Plenty of 3 o'clock kickoffs today though, and we can get a preview of a couple of them right now, starting with Alan Lorimer, who's covering Hawick against GHA for us this afternoon.
Tennent's Premiership leaders Hawick go into today's match against GHA at Mansfield Park knowing that a win will secure them the championship, and with it a home final for the playoffs, provided of course the Greens safely negotiate their home semi-final. Hawick are 4 points clear of second place Curry and have a game in hand over the Maloney Park side, so even if they lose today and fail to gain a bonus point, then a single point from their final game against Glasgow Hawks next Saturday would be sufficient for them to take the title. The Greens, back to full strength today, will not be contemplating a defeat However, even although they faced a GHA side fighting desperately for survival in the Premiership and in a relegation battle with Musselburgh and Heriots. So you can bet that GHA will throw everything at Hawick to keep their hopes alive of staying in the top flight for next season. GHA are strengthened today by the return of Grant Mullinson at fullback, Charlie Lonergan and Chris Hyde at centre, and Rory O'Keefe on the wing. They also have a formidable half-back pairing in the Borders, a duo of Christian Townsend at standoff and Galaman Finn Johnston at scrum half. But in what will be wet conditions for today's match at Mansfield, the main action is more likely to be in the forward battle where Hawick should hold the key cards. But Hawick's backs have been developing well this season, and I'm sure they will not be afraid to move the ball wide when the opportunities present themselves. So a huge match today at Mansfield, and one which means so much for both sides, adding up to what will be a gripping game.
Thank you to Alan Lorimer. He'll be keeping us up to date at Mansfield Park on that game. There's a 2 o'clock kickoff in the Premiership today. Glasgow Hawks against Musselburgh. They've reached half-time at the moment. A very important game for Musselburgh, of course. Glasgow Hawks, nothing really to play for, but it's currently 10-7 at half-time to Hawks. Some other latest scores we have in National 1, Stewmel 17, Aberdeen Grammar 5 is a latest score. And in National 2, I mentioned Berwick 31, Cartha Queen's Park 10, Boroughmuir 7, Lasswade 12 is the latest score. Falkirk 24, Hamilton 7, Glasgow Accies 5, Peebles 10. Peebles coming off the back of that near miss against Melrose last weekend. They're 10-5 in the lead at Glasgow Accies, looking to do the double over them. And of course, as we mentioned, or as we heard from Ian Chisholm just now, a real good opportunity for them to still have a say in who wins that league. And Preston Lodge 12, Dumfries 10 is a latest score there. Also down in East League 3, Earlston against Edinburgh Northern. Half-time there, Earlston 3, Edinburgh Northern 31. Well, let's cross over now to Riverside Park. Waiting for us there is Andrew Fleming.
Yes, welcome to a rather dreich Riverside Park for Jed Forest's season finale as they round off their Premiership campaign by welcoming Edinburgh Accies. The home side finished last season on 29 points with 5 wins from 18 matches, a total they surpassed last month with a home win over GHA. They currently sit on 35 points with 6 victories to their name, although they'll be looking to make that 7 today with home advantage. Accies will finish the Premiership in 3rd place regardless of results to come. Although this game may be viewed by some as a dead rubber, players will be vying for starting places ahead of their playoff showdown with Curry a fortnight today. Jed head coach Andrew Brown reshuffles his pack and makes 3 personnel changes in the forwards, with John Storey, Matthew Atkinson and Blake Roth coming in for Andrew Sweeney, Harry Meadows and a Dan Wardrop. 2 changes in the back line sees Ben McNeil start at inside centre, with Owen Cranston shifting to the right wing, while Ryan Briggs is set to make his first 15 debut off the bench. It's Jed Forest versus Edinburgh Accies. Kick-off is at 3 p.m, and I'll bring you updates throughout the afternoon here on Borders Rugby Radio.
Andrew Fleming, he'll be keeping us up to date, as he says, with the latest news from Riverside Park this afternoon. Turning to National 1 today, in Kelso have travelled to Stirling County. Gala host Highland, while at the Greenyards, Melrose take on Biggar, and we can go down there right now and join Sam Matthews live. Sam, a big game for Melrose, who have got the habit, of course, of winning games, but the club looking for a much better performance today.
Yeah, and I think as I was speaking to a few of the people as I came in today, there was a big wake-up call, as you said, in that Peebles game last week, because Peebles really, they took the full 80 minutes to beat Peebles there, so they have had that focus, and it's been interesting. I don't know what it's like for yourselves at Philip Hall, but there is a horrible rain in the air, so credit to the 5 people standing opposite me on the hill watching this game today at the Greenyards. But it's going to be a very big game too, as you say. There's big implications across the league. Melrose sit 3rd, they are 3 points off 2nd and obviously 6 points off top, so a win today is paramount, as the 2 teams above them, you would say, have games that they will most likely come away with at least 4 points from.
Now, you were at the reverse fixture, weren't you, at Hartree Mill? Biggar against Melrose. Melrose coming away with the win there, but a very different surface today, the 3G pitch.
Yes, Biggar have brought the Hartree Mill weather with them, but as you say, the 3G surface has made it a bit more solid underfoot, and it was interesting watching the teams warm up actually. Biggar seemed to be looks like they're going to try and make Melrose play with it, because there was a lot of kicking in rehearsal for kick chasing by the Biggar squad in the warm-up, while Melrose were really trying to get used to getting the ball in their hands in these wet conditions. So it'll be interesting, because to me it does look like a type of game where you could defend your way up the pitch, as in make the other team play and bank on penalties and mistakes from that attacking side.
And just finally for now, a mix of experience and youngsters in the Melrose team. Good to see Bruce Colvin at scrum half. I'm sure he'll have a few things to say to the referee there.
Bruce Colvin, he is the best official ever to not put on a referee's jersey. I think he'll tell people, yeah, but there's some great experience and there is some exciting things. Obviously, the Scotland under-20s star, Rolly Brett, he was back for the first time in 14 months last week against Peebles, so he's now got the starting jersey again, so it'll be interesting to see now he's got some match fitness in his legs, how he goes, and obviously, as you said, seasoned veterans as David Colvin, Stuart Hutchison, his brother Bruce Colvin and Donald Crawford in the back line around him will make sure he's in the right place at the right time.
So plenty at stake at Melrose. We'll be returning to the Green Yards very, very shortly, in fact throughout the game, so you'll miss absolutely nothing in terms of score updates. But it's time now to concentrate on the game here at Philip Hoch. So much at stake. Selkirk against Heriot's Blues. Let's join our commentary team, Scott Tomlinson, and first of all, Bruce Miller.
Thank you, Stuart. Good afternoon, everyone. And this is the penultimate game of the season for both of these sides. Well, certainly of the regular league season. Selkirk will be hoping they have games ahead of them as they bid for an end of season playoff spot, and you feel that they need 5 points today if they hope to secure a league semi-final in what would be a mouth-watering border derby down at Mansfield Park. We spoke to their coach Scott White earlier, wondered if we spoke about pressure and their home form, which hasn't been great, and they will certainly be under pressure from a Heriot's Blues side who are absolutely desperate for points in their bid to avoid the drop and secure a second season in the Premiership after last year's promotion from National League Division 1. I've got Scott Tomlinson alongside me this afternoon. We'll get his thoughts in a second, but just quickly we will run through the two sides. And the home side, first of all, vast experience in the front row with co-captain Luke Petty alongside James Bett and Bruce Riddle. A second row pairing of Andrew Cochrane and Callum Turnbull. And Ross Nixon, multi-talented, played centre, played standoff, but he will feature at the blindside flanker today, and he's alongside Scott McClymont and Andrew McComb in the back row. Half-back pairing of Jack Hamilton and co-captain Aaron McComb. In the centres, Craig Jackson is alongside young Cameron Eason. On the wings, Lachlan Ferguson and Josh Welsh, and Ryan Cottrell at full-back for the home side. On the bench, Fraser Eason, Callum McIntosh, James Head, Connor Ward and Ethan McVicker make up a very strong-looking Selkirk bench, a 4-1 split. Again, we heard from Selkirk head coach Scott White, and he mentioned the conditions, the state of the pitch, and felt that the forwards may well be under some pressure from Heriot's today, and therefore went with the bulk of his bench forward replacements. For Heriot's, in the front row, a late change, Martin Buab dropping out and Angus Munro promoted from the bench, and he will be alongside Danny Dineen and John Lascelles. A strong second row pairing of Charlie Jupp and Sean Johnson, and in the back row, Martin Hughes, Sam Wallace and Ali Johnston. Experienced Graham Wilson is at 9 alongside Rory Carmichael, and Bobby Kay, the captain, with Super 6 experience alongside Oisin McQuinn, and a very strong centre pairing, Fraser Stanier and Mike Gray on the wings for Heriot's, with Charlie Simpson at fullback. Archie Bogle, a late addition to the bench with Angus Munro's promotion, and he's alongside Innes Hill, Malachy Keogh, Ross Thompson and Charlie Dineen. Well, Heriot's now out on the pitch, just awaiting on the home side. So let's quickly get some thoughts from Scott Tomlinson. We've spoken about the pitch. It's really badly cut up already, and you felt that Selkirk might well be under pressure in these sort of conditions.
Yeah, good afternoon, Bruce. Yeah, now looking forward to it. You know, it's two ends of the table, but lots and lots at stake. Yeah, it's been interesting. The last 12 hours there's been a lot of rain, and that's certainly cut up the Selkirk pitch, the Philip Hoch pitch. It's really up to ourselves. Really, I think Selkirk will be still very keen to throw the ball about and give the ball some air. It's whether the forwards can supply them with that ball today. I mean, Heriot's look a very strong outfit today, and obviously got a lot at stake as well. They'll be desperate to stay up in this Premier Division.
Yes, although they sit bottom of the table, it's a point adrift of Musselburgh and GHA, who are also in action today in their final game of the season. So by about 4 o'clock, Heriot's will know what they have to do, and a losing bonus point may well be enough for them today, but they'll not be looking at that. We'll be very much coming here looking for a win, aware that the Selkirk home record is not as good as perhaps they would like it to be. And it looks like it will be Heriot's to kick off, playing from right to left as we watch from the back of the stand here at Philip Hoch. And it will be their very experienced scrum half, Graham Wilson, to kick us off, and he sends that one long into the Selkirk 22, taken clean. It's a big hit there by Charlie Jupp, a South African, and then through the hands, Nixon, blindside flanker today, but jumping in, first receiver there, nice little tip on pass, and Selkirk looking to play their way out of their own 22. Out it goes again to Nixon, out comes that hand and just pushes away one of the Heriot's players, drives another metre or two forward. goes to deck away over on the far side of the pitch now. Luke Petty sidestepping. He'll be the first man in this breakdown. At some point you feel that Selkirk want to just send this ball downfield. Heriots have two men waiting just on their side of halfway. Round the corner kick from Jack Hamilton there, and that is taken at the back by, I think that was Charlie Simpson, the Heriots fullback. So it's Heriots now in possession on the Selkirk 10 metre line. A strong carry by the Heriots forwards, but a little bit slow coming back for Graham Wilson, and out into the centres it goes. Heriots make their way up to the 10 metre line, decide they're not going anywhere and send that one long. I think we might well see a lot of kicking today, and Selkirk return that one, stays in field, can't be taken cleanly over his shoulder by Oisin Quinn, the Irishman. He gathers at the second time of asking, but he's gone all the way back to his 22. That's a good tackle, chasing his own kick there, Aaron McComb. The Heriots have lost about 40 metres here. That's a big hit, that's perhaps a little bit high. I think that was the arm of Luke Petty coming in there. But neither the referee this afternoon, Callum Worsley, or his assistant on this side, concerned about that.
That was a good start to the game, wasn't it? I think just about every person in the field had a touch of the ball there. Excellent kick by Aaron McComb, sent it back down into the Heriots 22. Good recovery tackle as well, and put him into touch, and Selkirk get the line out. So they'll be looking for good consistency here in this line out today.
James Bett to throw in. He's got 2 or 3 options in the line out, plenty of movement, and go to the back. It's a brave throw and an accurate one right at the start. And so you can see the state of the pitch here already, but the Selkirk forwards looking to get their side on the front foot. It's a good carry there by Petty, and Selkirk this time through Jackson looking to put boot to ball, and that's a great kick there and a great chase by Lachlan Ferguson on the right wing today for Selkirk. However, the referee has awarded a penalty, and I think Scott, you've done a bit of refereeing, you probably pick up what that one is for better than me.
Disappointed because Selkirk done really well to find us all in that bottom corner. I presume that one, I think it would be Craig Jackson, fell down on the Heriots player. It was disappointing because Selkirk got us all in a really good position there. I just noticed a couple of things just now for me. The Heriots defence, they're very slow to fold round the corner. If Selkirk want to play a game almost touchline to touchline, they've got to struggle. They'll be under pressure, Heriots, today.
So Selkirk giving Heriots an easy out there because they had them under pressure in that corner. Nice little kick through by Jackson. So from the penalty, the throw in for Heriots. They've tapped that one back, but under huge pressure again from Selkirk, trying to counter right there. It looks like it will come back on the Heriots side. But being driven back, aggressive Selkirk defence, determined to keep Heriots penned back in their 22 here. Heriots shaping for a clearance kick. Well, that's been charged down. Wilson's kick just never got that one away. However, the referee says that Selkirk a little over eager again, offside, and once again a chance for Heriots to clear their lines.
It's the right way to play though with Selkirk, I think. Play that high intensity, putting pressure on, especially in that 22. Put Heriots under as much pressure as they can, trying to make sure we don't get a clear out.
2 penalties in a row just allows Heriots to make their way up towards halfway. Heriots hooker's going to be standing in about a foot of mud down there, which shouldn't affect his throw. Danny Deneen. It's his instructions from Angus Munro. It's the late replacement for Martin Buab. And he's the front lifter there as they throw. Sean Johnson, originally out of North Berwick, played a bit of rugby not too far from here at Gala a number of years ago, and is featured for the Heriots Super 6 side this season. A sprinkling of Super 6 players throughout this Heriots team today may well make a difference, but that's Bett, James Bett, making a nuisance of himself. The hooker, however, getting himself offside again. The referee playing an advantage here. The Heriots will look to roll the dice. Crossfield kick there, and that looks fairly accurate. 2 Selkirk players on hand, and the ball goes loose. The referee, I think, still playing an advantage, perhaps from the knock-on now. It's still the penalty advantage over on this side of the pitch, but away go Heriots and side their way through that Selkirk defence and make their way up towards the 22. They've gone end to end, courtesy of a couple of penalties, and then a run through the Selkirk midfield defence. And the inside ball, there's a huge space for Bobby Kay. He's got a man with him. Inside ball there, and over for the first try goes Charlie Dupe, as the captain Bobby Kay gave the scoring pass. And Well, again, you've got to go back to the 2 penalties when Selkirk had Heriot's under pressure down at this end of the pitch in the Heriot's 22, and they've gone end to end and scored the first try.
Yeah, they have, but what's interesting is when Heriot's have the ball, when they become parity up front and they start using that ball, they've got 2 really good centres in the middle of the park there in a standoff, and Rory Carmichael that can control things, and they've got the try for their dominance up front and just using the ball a bit. I think Selkirk will really have to work hard to try and starve this Heriot's backline of possession today. But a good start at rugby considering the conditions, though. Good for the supporter.
It's certainly been an entertaining opening 6 minutes here. And the first try, I say Charlie Jupp, the South African, big second row for Heriot's. And it'll be scrum half Graham Wilson, vastly experienced, tasked with adding the extras, makes no mistake from just slightly to the left of the post. A good start for the visitors, and they lead 7 points to 0.
Yeah, I think Selkirk would have been happy with that start. As you say, they gave away a couple of bad penalties in there, and then they just it was almost too easy, that try, wasn't it? Almost too easy, and a day like the conditions that they are, you'd be expecting that defensive structure to be good.
And Bobby Kay, as we mentioned, the co-captain, he's the Heriot's captain and experience at Super 6 level. He looked very calm when he went through there. He knew he had a man with him, timed his pass nicely. And that's a scrappy kick there, though, by Charlie Simpson, the Heriot's fullback. So a chance for Selkirk to get themselves right back into this one. Once again, James Bett to throw into the line out, about 30 metres or so from the Heriot's try line. Selkirk forwards just deciding what to do here. It's Luke Petty at the front. It's a 5-man line out. Another forward standing off. However, that has been stolen. And we did wonder if the Heriot's line out would put the Selkirk line out under pressure. That's the first steal of the day. So Wilson just looking for his kicker directly behind. I don't think that one's going to find touch though. And it's going to stay in field just on this stand side of the pitch. Thrown in field by Lachlan Ferguson to Cottrell, who just sends that one back down into the 22. But, no pressure on there from the Selkirk chase. And plenty of time for Heriot's just to clear up to about halfway.
Yeah, I think for me, if Selkirk get themselves in that area in that 22, must put pressure on the Heriot's 10 and 9. Make sure they don't get an easy kick out into the field. And that for me, they've got themselves near enough to the halfway line.
Yeah, the line out just right down in front of us here. So we're at the back of the stand. It's a pretty dreich afternoon here at Philip Hawke. A day for the forward certainly, and another long throw. And Selkirk get a hand to it, but it bounces up nicely for Dineen, the Heriot's hooker, and once again it's the visitors on the attack up over the Heriot's 10 metre line. And again out to the try scorer Jupp, who carries hard, makes a metre or two. And again Wilson out to Carmichael, no number on his back, and away they go again, just through that Selkirk defence much too easily up into the 22. Nice offload off the deck, involved there Charlie Simpson. As Heriot's tried to keep this one alive, and they're only about 10 metres away from the Selkirk try line now. However, loud blast in the whistle from the referee, and he's going to his pocket, I think, very early here. Who has he sent to the side? He's having a word with Luke Petty. I think it's Petty that's...
I didn't see it, to be fair, Bruce.
I think
I didn't see it, but yeah, somebody's away anyway.
Yeah.
It looks like Jack Hamilton's away.
I think it is Jack Hamilton, the scrum half, which is... well, you don't want to lose anybody, but you certainly don't want to lose your scrum half. So now Selkirk defending with only 14 men. They've lost their scrum half, and Heriot's going for the jugular here. They've kicked that one out. They're about 6 or 7 metres away from the Selkirk try line. We've spoken about their line out, strong line out, and won't be any surprise here they'll set this up and drive.
I think there seems to be more desire for the Heriot's team at the present. You know, good strong carry at that line out.
And it comes from Dineen again. Out comes the referee's arm. That one taken down by Selkirk. They knew where the threat was going to come from. They didn't want to risk it. But the forwards, and Ali Johnson looks like he'll be at first receiver. Martin Hughes already pre-latched on as he tries to drive his number 8 over the line. That's great strength from the Heriot's number 8. And they're only a metre or so away. The referee comes back though, say no advantage accruing, and Heriot's look to play quickly. Jupp comes running around there, but slowed down by, I think that's John Lascelles, the tight head prop. Just throws it to Carmichael, who in turn throws it to trying to see who's got that now. I think they're undecided what they're going to do, Heriot's. I think they'll kick for the corner again.
Even the referee seems undecided. His signals are not the clearest, are they? But they went for the line out anyway, 5 metres from the Selkirk defending line.
So we've got another crack at it here, and The referee will be keeping his eyes closely on that the Selkirk defence. That's a better hit from Selkirk there. They got their timing absolutely bang on at the line out, and just as the man hit the deck, they've driven him back 2 or 3 metres. Heriots eventually have got them all set. Dropped that ball though. The referee, I don't think, saw that. Not sure if it was a knock on or not, but he's allowed play to go on. So play still with the visitors. About 12 metres or so away from the Selkirk try line. Jupp again, carries hard. And Wilson goes in, digging for that one. We've got options both ways, but most of their players are crossing that short side. The only man really across here on the left-hand side of the pitch for Heriot's Blues is Fraser Stanier, the left wing, and now he's calling for it. He sees that there's space, but Heriot's still up to keep it tight. Selkirk defence holding strong for now. Jupp once again looking to get hands on the ball. He's got Johnson with him. Good ball retention here. A nice little inside ball. Again, just making this Selkirk defence think. It was inside from Rory Carmichael. He's pulling the strings here for Heriots. They lead 7 points to 0 and played 11 or so minutes here at Philip Hawke, and there's space there. Nice pass. And well, I thought he was over in the corner. That is good defence. Fraser Stanier looked like he was over in the corner for all money. Took what I thought was a scoring pass from Sam Wallace, but Selkirk keep them out.
Yeah, it was a very good tackle by Josh Welsh. He got back. Ryan Cotterill just got sucked in a wee bit, and enough to get that offload pass in there, but just done well to make a good try-saving tackle there.
So Selkirk have been under the cosh for the last 4 or 5 minutes in their 22. A chance perhaps for them to clear their lines here. The line out 5 metres away from their try line. First they've got to secure the line out ball. They've been under pressure, and again that scrappy ball. It does come back on the Selkirk side. Now I thought the assistant referee had his arm up for something, but no, it's out it goes again to Nixon. He's been a willing ball carrier when Selkirk have been in possession. He's trying to set up the position for the kick. And again, it will stay in field, so taken by Stanier. Feeds it into Charlie Simpson, his fullback, goes across field and cries, I think, for high there. The referee having none of that though. It's once again with the visitors. Heriots really up for this one, and it's a good scything tackle on Deneen, the hooker, as Heriots looked for space over on the far side of the pitch, but still in possession. Switching play back towards the stand side. Again, the Heriots forwards carrying well. Round the corner there comes Rory Carmichael. A long pass out, and there could be space once again for Stanier on this left wing, and Simpson opts not to give it, tries to put boot to ball, and it's bounced nicely for Bobby Kay. Well, and he's beaten to the ball there. That was very dangerous for Selkirk, but good play.
Aaron McComb outstanding.
Aaron McComb was it? Yeah. Good work. He really needed to get that. If that had fallen into the hands of Kay, he was just about going to slide over from a metre or two out, but McComb very brave as he went down in that ball, and Selkirk with possession just inside their 22 here. Now they've looked like they want to play out of their 22, but you would think the better option would be to kick it. However, 2 men just waiting on the kick on this stand side of the pitch. Up it goes again. It'll stay in field. Simpson and Stanier. Well, there's a good chase there. Selkirk not quite able to regather their own kick. So again, it's with Heriots. Non-stop breathless game here. We'll get the thoughts of Scott Tomlinson in a second. We'll presumably get a break. Simpson puts boot to ball there, sends it across field, and ball beats everybody and bounces into touch.
Yeah, take a wee breather, Bruce. End to end for Heriots, controlling possession. I just see Aaron McComb down there. It really was a case of body on the line to save that try, but it looks as if he's hurt that shoulder of his again. Hopefully not though. I just feel we're under a wee bit of pressure in about the centre position defensively as well. But all credit to Heriots. You know, they've came here. They're desperate to win and desperate to stay in the Premiership, and they're certainly looking the better team at the moment.
Okay, let's quickly go down to the Green Yards. Sam Matthews there. We have some early scores.
Yeah, and you've joined me just as David Colvin's lining up a penalty, but before he takes this kick, I'll let you in on the first 14 minutes here at the Green Yards. It has been a story about scrums, really. Donald Voss has won 2 scrum penalties for Biggar, and that has resulted with the 1 unconverted try so far for Craig Borthwick of Biggar. They are currently winning 5-0 here at the Green Yards, and we will just wait as Dave Colvin about to take this penalty. And that is clean through the uprights. So the score is now 5-3 to Biggar here, the away side at Melrose. And as I said in the build-up, playing rugby without playing rugby, really. People looking for penalties, people looking for mistakes and trying to capitalise where they can. Let's
quickly go to Riverside Park. It's Jed Forrest against Sember-Accies. A better start, I think, for the Accies. Let's find out from Andrew Fleming.
4 minutes on the clock, and it's Accies who draw first blood through a clever link-up play between the centres. From an attacking line out, a clever stab through the defence by Neil Armstrong was hacked on and finished by Vincent Hart. captain Jamie Looms converting for a 7-0 lead.
Other scores that we have at the moment, it's Glasgow Accies 10, Musselburgh 14. That's a Paul Cunningham try, putting Musselburgh in front. Of course, Musselburgh desperate for points this afternoon. Hawick have taken the lead against GHA. It's 5-0 there. Jed Forest 0, Edinburgh Accies 12 into National 1, Ayr 5, Dundee 0, Gala 10, Highland 0. Melrose, as we've just heard at the moment, it's 5-3, a Craig Borthwick try, putting Biggar in front there. Stumel 24, Aberdeen Grammar 12, and at the moment Berwick running away with it against Cartha Queen's Park, 57-10 in front, and Peebles winning at Glasgow Accies 10-5.
Fascinating at the bottom of the table with GHA, Musselburgh and Heriots all trying to avoid relegation as things stand. It would be the third from bottom, GHA perhaps, that would with the team most under pressure, but Selkirk under pressure here as Jupp takes that ball from the line out, and once again the visitors deep inside the Selkirk 22, already a try to the good. They lead 7 points to 0 with 16 minutes on the clock. We're a lengthy break here though for some treatment to a couple of Selkirk players, very much under the caution, having to do an awful lot of defending. Ross Nixon in there trying to hold up the ball carrier, but in so doing allows him to make another 5 metres, and back it comes again for Rory Carmichael, and he really is pulling the strings, and Heriots fielders space out here on the left wing again, and an important tackle by Cottrell on Fraser Stanier. That's the third time in the space of about 5 minutes we've seen Stanier get his hands on the ball, and say Heriots obviously feel there's a bit of space out there for their left winger. They once again recycle ball going through the phases well, and Selkirk just can't get their hands on the ball at the minute. It's time to defend for their lives here. A nice little drop off pass there by Carmichael, looks very confident. He's the only jersey that is still the same colour as he came out, so he's not been involved in an awful lot that involves him going to deck, but he's kicked well, he's distributing well, and now it's the right winger Mike Gray who gets his hands on the ball, and Heriots just able to go from coast to coast almost at will. And that Selkirk defence set well once again, and they have to keep making tackles. 10 metres away now from their try line, round the corner comes Luke Petty, and the referee says no release, and he's playing advantage once again, so they can roll the dice. The kick across by Rory Carmichael, and well, that was very nearly taken by Fraser Stanier. The ball knocked on, and the referee will come back for the advantage.
Yeah, again, good play by Heriots. Rory Carmichael running the show, isn't he? I just feel, for me personally, there's not enough pressure putting on 9 and 10. I would like to see a lot more pressure going on Wilson, for example, and make it as tough a life as possible for him. At the moment, we're giving him an easy ride, and they're controlling the game completely. Referees not allowing any damage across the breakdown at all just now as well, which is interesting.
Yes, it's allowing Heriots to keep possession, to just go through phases. I've already seen when there's a hint of a space, that centre pairing of Bobby Kay and O'Sheen Quinn look very dangerous.
Yes. Young Easton's playing today for the first time. First time he's starting certainly outside centre. So it's got a really tough task for him, but hopefully he'll settle into the game and he'll enjoy himself.
So Dineen finds Jupp in the line out. Well, maybe trying to be too clever, he dropped that ball off the top deliberately to somebody behind him in the line out. It was lost, and Selkirk have come up with a ball, and they've had very little possession here, but 10 metres or so away from their try line. Let's be looking to send this one once again. Heriots have got 2 players at the back, they know exactly where this will go if it's kicked, and they're waiting on it coming, and again it will stay in field. So Selkirk, I think, they're just going to find themselves back on defence around their 22, and the tackle not completed there. It's allowed Heriots to make another couple of metres, and again up to the Selkirk 22. It is just non-stop here from the visitors. Again, well, I think the ball from Rory Carmichael was intended to go behind the forwards, but they didn't quite get their timing right, and it has bounced kindly for them. No knock on, and a kick over the top there into the Selkirk 22. Picked up well. Was it Aaron McComb, I think, picking that one up again? Yes, and he's been great at the back for Selkirk today. Try-saving slide onto a ball 5 or so minutes ago. Snaps up that one from the kick. Ross Nixon now carries that, but it's like deja vu. Again, 10 metres away from their try line, and try and play their way out of the 22 now. In come the hands from Dineen. The referee having none of that though. So Selkirk look a little bit better set for the kick this time. It'll be Jack Hamilton who sends that one, and not as long this time. So once again picked up by Mike Gray on that right wing, skips his way through past the first tackle. It probably sounds like deja vu to you at home as well, because Heriot's once again back to the Selkirk 22. In come the hands there from Selkirk, and you felt that he probably had hands on the referee, not having any of that though. So it's still Heriot's and Jupp. How many times have we mentioned his name? The only try scorer. This time, perhaps hear the loud blast in the referee's whistle and the cries from the crowd holding on, and Selkirk awarded the penalty.
And you can hear the cries for the crowd as well. And there's a knowledgeable crowd at Selkirk, and they realised there was a couple of times there when Selkirk were over the top of the ball trying to jackal over across, and the ref never gave them anything. So it was a good event. I think he probably realised himself he probably should have gave the one before. It's been interesting since Jack Hamilton's been off in that 10-minute spell. It's been all Heriot's, and Selkirk have just lost their shape completely. Although Aaron McComb, I think, has played well at 9. He's had a couple of really good kicks as well, but they've just lost their shape in attack as well when it comes to that. So they just need to settle down a wee bit. And I think the big thing for us today, I mean, I know Scott alluded to it before, but for me, it's just about the win. Even a 3-0 win or a 6-0 win today would have been ideal for Selkirk. Then we go to Heriot's, Curry the following week, and look to try and win there. So it's not the great big shakes that we need to score these bonus points today. It's all about winning the game of rugby.
Well, currently Selkirk trailing by 7 points to 0. May well have conceded again, as they've been under the caution their own 22 and done well to keep the visitors out. However, that ball knocked on, so it'll be a scrum down. I don't know if a lot of scrums. Is this our
not many scrums? No,
first one of the game?
Selkirk's lost a few lineouts certainly, and that's one of the key areas that we've got to have to work on. It's throughout the game. You know, if we want to gain possession, then we need to win our lineout and scrum ball.
I'm just trying to check again. I forgot that Jack Hamilton had come off, so Aaron McComb's moved to
back to 10.
Yes.
And Jack's came back in at 9 again. Yeah.
The ball in the hands though of the Heriot's Blues 9. Graham Wilson kicked the conversion earlier of Jupp's try. 5 minutes into the game, so we've gone 17 minutes without a score, but it's been all the visitors. However, if Selkirk are going to be dominant in one area of the game, it looks like the scrum, because driven Heriot's almost off the ball there, and Scott Tomlinson's arms up as the referee. He's awarded that penalty to Heriot's. I don't think you agree.
No, Scott McClimate's a very good 7, probably one of the best 7s in the Premiership at the moment, and he knows how to release a player and go back and win the ball again. And it was concerned hard at the beginning of the game with the referee. It's a bit massive game for him as well. You know, huge for the two teams, but also for the referee. It's about managing that breakdown in a horrible winter's day like what it is today.
Well, Selkirk will be feeling good about their scrum, not so much about that as Ross Nixon. He had to reach for the pass from Hamilton there, couldn't quite get there. I'm sure the ball will be very slippery in these conditions and knocks that ball on. And that just hands possession back to Heriot. So we'll have a scrum just outside the Selkirk 22.
Well, just before that takes place, let's go back to Melrose, another score update.
Joined me here, and it is currently 8-5 to the home side now. Just after you left me previously, Connor Spence, number 14 for Melrose, went in at the far corner after some very intricate play. A brave missed 3 pass by Struan Hutchison was tipped on by a few forwards after a phase or two, and Connor Spence went in the faraway corner from the press box here for me. So the score is now Melrose 8, Biggar 5.
Latest scores around the country. It's Glasgow Hawks 10, Musselburgh 17 now, Hawick 5, GHA 7, Jed Forest 7, Edinburgh Accies 12. That's a Callum Young try. And down here, Selkirk 0, Heriot's Blues 7.
And it's Heriot's on the attack. Bobby Kay again fires a pass out to his fullback Simpson, and again at the hands of Stanier. Dragged down 3 metres short of the Selkirk try line. Good defence once again in the right hand or the left hand corner as we watch Heriot's attack. That ball lost but hasn't gone backwards, so it's still Heriot's in possession. The referee indicating that it had gone back, and Heriot's got to be very close to that try line now. Heriot's forward landing on his back there. It looked like he was almost over the line, but you can see the ball just at the base of the Heriot's ruck there. Line up to go over. It's a longer pass thrown out to the winger Fraser Stanier, and he has gone over. He has had 2 or 3 opportunities from further out. All he had to do was catch that and dive over, and Heriot scored their second try.
Yeah, and controlled by Graham Wilson and Rory Carmichael. It's interesting, probably the best player on the field at the moment is Rory Carmichael, and he's the one who's absolutely immaculate. Not a speck of dirt on his jersey at all. Again, good driving play with the forwards, and the Stanier's causing a few problems with us down this wing channel. There's a couple of times he's actually had good opportunities and never really gave the ball back inside, but that time there he had the strength and the patience just to drive over the line.
A little fortunate there, Heriot's, because they had lost the ball But the referee, right, I mean, he's right on the spot, and it looked like it had gone back, but they could easily have lost it, but retained possession, and they got themselves close enough to that try line that Stanier just had to catch the ball and dive over. And a trickier kick here for Graham Wilson. He was successful with his first conversion attempt. Charlie Jupp's try 5 minutes into the game. And it's taken another 21 minutes of pressure from the visitors before they could cross the whitewash again. It's certainly a very deserved lead. That one just fades past the left upright. That's a very deserved 12-0 lead.
Yeah, and I think the Heriots bench will be absolutely delighted with the start that they've made. Really professional, mature start. You know, Parker there as a coach, and John Elliott for Langham, born originally, the team manager for Heriots, will be delighted with that there. It gives them a wee cushion, and a day like this today, you're going to need that little bit of cushion.
Well, the basement team's all performing well, it sounds like. GHA trailing Hoyt by only 3 points. Musselburgh were ahead at Glasgow Hawks, and Heriots 12-0 to the good here at Philip Hawke. And from the restart, Heriots just send that one back into the Selkirk half. Cottrell thinks he sees a little space behind, but I mean, there's 4 or 5 men in the backfield there for Heriots. I'm not sure a kick was the right option, but it's worked for him in the end, because Heriots opted to kick it back and have kicked it out in the full. Yeah,
Mike Gray just had a wee slice kick there just now, one of his ones you want to forget. So that gives the Selkirk a line out just short of the 22 in attacking, and hopefully we can get a good line out here and get a bit of possession and see what we've got in front of us in the middle of the park.
Yeah, Selkirk just need to get hands on the ball and go through some phases. They've never really been in the game. They had pressure in the first 2 or 3 minutes down in the right hand corner here, but here we go from the line out into the midfield. Little miss pass and taken into contact
Nixon.
By, was it Nixon there? I was thinking it was the number 8 McComb, but it was Nixon. Then they go back to the other side. The Heriots defence look well set, but Cottrell again puts boot to ball, just threads that one through a little gap, and that's a good kick. Whether or not it was the right option, it's actually gone into touch 5 metres or so from the Heriots try line, and now they'll look to put pressure on the line out.
And that was excellent. Just a wee bit of possession with the ball, off the top ball, hit Nixon up in the middle of the park, and then go down the blind side. And if it's not on, stick a little kick in the bottom corner there. And this is what it's all about: playing in this bottom corner here and putting pressure on Heriots. Make sure it's not an easy out.
So Selkirk right winger Lachlan Ferguson, the last man on the end of the line here, if you like. Shot there on screen, Craig Jackson. And Selkirk inside centre, however, have lost their second line out of the day. So appear to be dominant in the scrum, Selkirk, but we did think that they would be under pressure at the line out with Charlie Jupp, Sean Johnson, Martin Hughes, really good line out operators for Heriots. But Heriots again have kicked that about halfway, so Selkirk maybe a little more space to attack into here with Cottrell. Goes to deck, but not held onto, and that's a good quick ball. Loose pass though, I don't think knocked on. Well, the referee says it was knocked on. I thought that had come off the shin there of Lachlan Ferguson, and the referee disagreed, and it'll be a scrum feed for Heriots.
You just seen a wee bit glimpse of Ryan Cottrell there, hence the reason why he's been signed up for the Knights next season. He's got excellent acceleration from the mark there. Obviously it's a horrible, dirty, muddy day, but he's got talent. You can see that in the 7th circuit as well. Jack Artlin's struggling a wee bit at scrum half, just with that muddy ball. Probably not seen as much mud as what we have today, and he just needs to try and concentrate and get that ball out in front, because Aaron McComb, another class act with Jackson inside him as well. You've got some really good backs there. If we can get enough ball there, we'll give Heriots a run for their money.
Yeah, I think on a different pitch, Ryan Cottrell might well have stayed on his feet there. And it's Jack Hamilton trying to put pressure on his opposite number, Wilson, but he gets the ball away, and then it's a good kick there from Heriots. They just try and force Selkirk back, tell them to play from their own half. So it'll be a Selkirk throw into the line out, but they're now back on their own 10-metre line.
Yeah, the two veterans, and Wilson and Carmichael, fair enjoying themselves out there just now. Nice muddy day, they'll be rubbing their hands and know exactly how to play the game, get themselves in front as well, manage the game the best they can.
Yeah, Carmichael's been superb. You can't quite see him in shot just now, but he is immaculate. He has still never hit the deck. He's led everything. You can hear him shouting now, shouting the odds. He wants the forwards to carry this one. He'll get this perhaps from the next phase from Wilson. Well, he's shaping up to. Well, he had a look to the left. There's actually a bit of space and there's numbers. Instead of going through the hands, they've just sent this one long and maybe a little bit too far. Didn't get the chase there. And Lachlan Ferguson, the Selkirk right wing, takes that under very little pressure. Hamilton out there to bet through the dummy there. He had Andrew Cochrane outside him, opted to go himself. So Selkirk now to Luke Petty, just clap of the hand, says he wants the ball. He's hit really hard on the tackle there though and driven back. It's still Selkirk in possession. Hamilton digging for that one. And again he'll take on the kicking duties himself. And Stainfield will land on the Heriot's 10-metre line. And Charlie Simpson, well, he was just going to send it down the left touchline, but then changed his mind last minute, and that's been snapped up as that Bobby Kay again sliding onto that ball. It's very, very brave, and it was a last-minute decision. I think he probably got the call from the midfield, the Simpson, so changed his option, and it's worked well for him. Simpson now in at first receiver and just threads a ball through, but not such a good kick this time. No chase. Back he goes. Simpson's just involved in everything in the last 2 or 3 phases. He has to go back and field the kick. Sends it long again. That's a difficult one, and in fact they opted to leave that, did Jackson, because it didn't look like the bouncers were going to be very kind for him, and Jupp puts pressure on, and I think there's almost an element now, you're not quite sure who's coming at you because the jerseys are a little bit muddy, and one of the Selkirk players there caught a little by surprise by how close Jupp was to him, and Jackson now he's knocked that ball on, and it's the conditions and it's the pressure that you feel when you're trying to play out your 22.
Yeah, I think so. I think Selkirk's made a lot of mistakes in this first half. There's something that Selkirk's maybe not done so much this year, but certainly at home they've been under a lot of pressure. I don't know whether it's the crowd or that, but they've certainly been making mistakes at home this year, and their away form has been really good. For me, I would be looking to try and get James Head on the field as quickly as I can, because they're needing that kind of talisman. At the moment, any 50-50 balls that's going about at the moment, it seems to be Heriots is winning that area. You've got to remember this is Selkirk's first opportunity to get to the top 4 ever, and that desire doesn't seem to be there at the moment. I'm sure it will be, but at the moment they're just feeling the heat a wee bit, and we need to try and get our hands on the ball.
The very least they need, the home side, as a bonus point today, which would give them still an opportunity up at Millennium Park next weekend. I feel that they need it a bit more, but for now they just need to get themselves back into the game. They trail 12 points to 0, 7 minutes to go to half time, and again it's the visitors in possession just inside the Selkirk 22, and again out it comes to Dineen. He's got Sean Johnson and Jupp who have been to the fore, the second row pairing, and again out in behind the forward. Bobby Kay just straightens there, he's dealt with well, and in come the hands from Selkirk, and rewarded this time by the referee was Craig Jackson inside centre, and a chance for Selkirk to clear their lines.
That's a bit better. There's a wee bit more desire there. You can see that defensively. I think that's the second penalty Heriots have given away, though. You can see how professional they have been in the first half. And Phil Smith will be purring away there.
A mistake though. They had a chance to put that out. Selkirk, they would have the throw into the lineup from the penalty, but didn't quite make touch. And we've got an injury. Oh no, what's the referee saying there? He's awarded, I think, a penalty to Heriots. Were Selkirk in front of the
I think he was either in front or he took 15 out, but I don't think there was much in it, to be fair, as you would expect. Graham Wilson going for the points though.
Yeah, so the penalty awarded to Heriots. If I'm honest, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but the ball, it should have gone out, it should have been kicked out, because Selkirk had the penalty. They would have had the line out throw just on halfway. Instead, all they did was find Charlie Simpson, who kicked the ball, and it was taken fairly acrobatically above his head by, I think was it Aaron McComb, but the referee, it was either I think it must have been crossing perhaps, or something of that. Either way, Heriots have been awarded the penalty. They lead 12 points to 0, and they just want to keep the scoreboard ticking over as we approach half time. So the kick, it's 15 metres in from the stand side touchline, and probably about 30 metres away on the angle from the post, so well within Graham Wilson's range. He's certainly taken his time over this one, and watched keenly by the referee Callum Worsley. And this is his last look at it. I don't think he has quite got that on target. He certainly had the distance, it's just faded past the right upright there, so a sigh of relief from the home crowd here, and it's still 12 points to 0 at Heriots lead.
Yeah, it's fizzled out, hasn't it, the last 5 or 10 minutes. The Selkirk crowd's not getting anything behind them, because Selkirk's not had received the ball. It's all been defending the whole time. And listen, at the end of the day, if you're at Edinburgh club and you're coming down here and you need to win this game today, Heriots have just hit the nail on the head. They've worked really, really hard. They've kept the hold of the ball and starved Selkirk of possession.
Well, Selkirk dodge a bullet there, and from the 22, And they find Ali Johnson. We're not seen too much of him. Very strong ball carrier, the Heriot's number 8. He makes good ground there. And this whole first half has been spent either in the Selkirk 22 or just outside it. And play now is about 5 metres outside the 22. And very close to this stand side touchline again. And it goes to Johnson. Very difficult to see the numbers now, but in pile the Heriot's players. Selkirk trying to keep Johnson up and turn this into a maul, and the referee does reward them for that, and it'll be a scrum feed to the home side.
Yeah, and that was better. You know, there was a ruck situation there. Selkirk made it as difficult as possible for Graham Wilson to get the ball out, and then they moved it again and we held them up into the field. There was a wee bit more fight in there. That was good, and that's exactly what Scott White will be looking for. I mean, he sent his bench away to warm up there just now. I can't see him making any changes before half time, but I certainly will be surprised if there's not a couple of changes after half time.
Yeah, there's plenty of experience on there. Callum McIntosh, you mentioned James Head as well. We've got Fraser Easton, Connor Warden and Ethan McVicker make an appearance at some point, but you feel something has got to change, if not the personnel. It's, well, if they just get hands on ball, they've hardly had possession. Any possession they have had has been inside their 22. And it's been kicked to a Heriot's backfield. They've just been waiting on it, and they've carried hard back. And we've got a scrum just outside the Selkirk 22. One positive for Selkirk. We've not had a lot of scrums, but they've very much been dominant there.
Yeah, they look at it, which surprised me, to be fair. You know, it's a big Heriot's park today. A lot of really good rugby players out in that field in the Heriot's team. And Selkirk are certainly holding their own just now. Obviously, Zen's playing for Poland this afternoon, along with Ryan Godsmark playing for Belgium as well, so which has been interesting for a Selkirk club point of view.
Yeah, that's Selkirk's front row of Luke Petty, James Bett and Bruce Riddle, not wearing a number today. Unusually, often when that happens it's because the player's too big for the jersey, but at the minute it's that the jersey's too big for the player. Luke Petty getting that up on his side. The referee allows Selkirk to play the ball away, and out it goes to Jackson. Just skips off his left foot a couple of times and makes good ground out of the 22. And it'll be options both sides, but the Selkirk players flood round to the left there, but in come Heriot's, and they have turned that one over, and Sean Johnson just feeds the ball away to his second row partner Jupp, and there's space, danger for Selkirk here. Half a tackle, and Heriot's still going back up into the 22. I say the numbers, the Heriot's jerseys are mostly just covered in mud, apart from Rory Carmichael again, and the bright white jersey just calling the odds there. Out comes his right arm, tells Wilson to go to the right. Sean Johnson managed to offload that one before he's dragged to deck, and Heriot's again working their way into that Selkirk 22. Selkirk defence well set, strung across to the left as we watch from the back of the stand. And they'll really do have to keep Heriot's out now. 12 points to 0, the visitors lead as we approach half time. 2 minutes to play. Well, he has gone to deck, Rory Carmichael, cut back inside there, and he has been dragged down, but Heriot's still in possession. Deneen now drives another 5 metres or so forward. In come the hands from Selkirk, but they have turned that one over in fact and look to play that away. That's a bit of a loose pass, and I think they will have to kick that. And
it's a great kick,
could be plucked. Well, it is a great kick. I thought Stanier was going to pluck that one from the air, but it just had enough on it, went over the left winger's head and into touch right down in front of us on halfway.
We just seen a glimpse of Rory Carmichael, hence maybe we've not seen him playing in a Scotland jersey. So he obviously can control games, but his tackling it looks as if it's weak there. Certainly Craig Jackson just turned him inside out there just now, and then when it came to contact, him taking the ball in, you could see him almost grimacing. I think if Selkirk wants to win that game today, that may well be the channel. I think probably Sam Wallace is doing a lot of covering for him at the moment. That may well be the channel that Selkirk needs to start attacking, rather than attacking maybe that 12 or 13 channel.
Not the first standoff in history to not really enjoy the contact area of the game.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, even throughout the years and generations, isn't it? A standoff that doesn't like tackling. Though I mean, if you look at the now, our Scottish standoff with Finn Russell, he certainly puts his body on the line. Even the under 20s there just the other week, where Simpson, I think the new under 20s standoff was really putting his body on the line. So it's good to see.
Yeah, two exceptionally good tacklers. So a little break in play, but we're back to the action. So line out, this is right down in front of us. Here, so watching from the back of the stand at Philip Hawke, it's a metre or so on the Selkirk side of halfway, and unchallenged at the front of the line out, Jups out it goes again to Carmichael, just shovels that ball on to Bobby Kay. And I was going to say there was a hint of a high tackle. The crowd don't agree, but I think the referee who's right there was probably correct with that one.
Yeah, Nixon on a seatbelt tackle. Ali Johnson's starting to come into the game now. He's a good rugby player, and he's starting to carry some ball, showing some good leadership in there now.
It's a penalty awarded to Heriots just about on the centre spot. So Carmichael will look to find a touch again on this stand side of the pitch, just on the Selkirk 22.
And they seem to be more uncomfortable of playing in lineouts and do any phase play off their lineouts, the good solid lineout, and then off the top ball for Graham Wilson.
Apologies, line out on the Selkirk 10 metre line. But we've seen how freely Heriots can make metres here, and again jump the target with a bit of movement in that Heriots line. Shoveled out into the midfield again by Carmichael. Ali Johnson, you mentioned him, crashing into contact there and quickly recycled round the corner, come the forwards. Jup again, in goes Johnson to help clear that one out, and Wilson and feeds the prop coming round the corner once again. So it's just 3 quick carries where that ball's been lost.
Yeah, Nixon one turnover there, excellent stuff by him.
So we're 2 minutes into injury time. We did have a lengthy break in play, so we have a minute or two to play perhaps here, but I think Selkirk, this will be their last roll of the dice if they want to get themselves on that scoreboard in this first half. They've kicked long into the 22. A bit of pressure there on Simpson, decides to cut back in field away from Jack Hamilton, and then puts boot to ball. That's a decent kick from the Heriots fullback. He's kicked well this afternoon. And it's Selkirk in possession over on the far side and take play back into the Heriots half of the field. Just slow to reset themselves. Again, the referee, loud blast, and is awarded. It's holding on the ground, he's indicating this time. So
yeah, it was strange that one, because I thought Ross Nixon carried the ball really well, got good leg drive going, and had Lachlan Johnston over supporting the ball, but obviously the referee's a lot closer than us to see what that infringement was for.
Selkirk just can't keep a hold of the ball though.
Yeah, no, it's a big issue today. You know, when it's so much at stake as well. I would imagine Scott and the lads will have worked really, really hard on their line out and phase play. But then, and probably looking at to try and play a high expansive game of rugby for touchline to touchline. But at the end of the day, you need the ball first to do anything like that there, and we really need parity up front.
And in contrast, Heriots have kept a hold of the ball exceptionally well. They've got perhaps the last possession of this first half from a line out over on the far side, again on that Selkirk 10 metre line. Luke Petty, not for the first time in his life, involved in a little bit of a scuffle with, in fact, his former Gala teammate Sean Johnson. A quick hello, how are you? And out it comes again to Rory Carmichael. Drops that ball off again to Bobby Kay. Well, no, Bobby Kay's in there trying to win that ball back, because Selkirk have done well once again just to hold the man up, turn that into a maul, and with that the referee blows for half time. Everybody go in. I suspect we might see some clean jerseys coming out, some cups of tea in the changing rooms there, but it's certainly been an entertaining first half of rugby here, and that's the penultimate game of the league season for both of these teams. And it's Heriots very much in command. 2 tries, Charlie Jupp after 5 minutes, converted by Graham Wilson, and then Fraser Stanier 25 minutes into the game. It's half time here at Philip Hawke. It's Selkirk 0, Heriots 12.
And I can tell you it's half time at Bridgehaw. Stirling County 5, Kelso 24. They've got their try bonus, and that will put pressure on teams like Ayr, who are 12-3 ahead against Dundee at half time. And I think we can go to the Green Yards. It's half time there as well. Here's Sam Matthews.
You're spot on, it is half time at the Green Yards. The score is 11-10 to the home side. Melrose relying on the boot of Dave Colvin to keep them in front so far. Biggar have not hit a kick so far with their 2 tries, but they have both had forwards go over the line. Hooker, Andrew Orr got the second try after Craig Borthwick's first one in the 10 minutes, but the attitude was really set by Biggar this afternoon, where there was actually a yellow card for Melrose in the first 2-3 minutes of the game for tight head prop Callum Cruikshanks. It has just been a game, as I say. There was 2 big scrum penalties for Biggar that helped them march up the pitch to get to that first try of Craig Borthwick. So a very untidy game, as you are probably aware down at Philip Hall, and listeners around the borders. It is not the best weather today, so it will just be a case of can they really capitalise. And as the scores around are coming in and making their way through the whispers at the Green Yards, Melrose are realising they have to get 5 points today.
Yes, do you sense that they can get this 4 try bonus, which it looks like they're going to need because of Kelso's result at the moment, scoreline?
I do believe they can. They have the players, they have the potential. As we discussed pre-game, you have those experienced heads. There has been a few uncharacteristic mistakes from some of the more senior players, a few knock-ons or a few passes that really should have gone. But as I said, they are slowly figuring out what they need to do this afternoon. So I imagine they'll come out with a lot of attacking flair in the second half, playing away from the police station towards the hills.
Okay, the lovely Eildon Hills. Thank you to Sam. We'll join you again a little bit later on. I think we can go now to Riverside Park. Andrew Fleming, bit of action down there.
Nearing the end of the first half at Riverside, and Jed have been dealt a huge blow with a red card showed to Elliot Lauder. The back row putting a crunching tackle on halfway, which seemed fair, but after consulting with his touch judges, referee David Young brandished the red card, meaning the host will play the remainder of the match with 14 men. 36 minutes on the clock. Jed 7, Edinburgh Accies 19.
Let's quickly run through some of these latest scores that we have for you at the moment. Glasgow Hawks 10, Musselburgh 20 now, so 10 points clear for Musselburgh. A couple of Danny Owenson penalties adding to a Paul Cunningham try. They're going great guns at the moment. They were 10-7 down. Musselburgh, of course, currently second bottom, desperate for the points. GHA are desperate for points as well, and they're doing well at Mansfield Park. They haven't got the lead, but they were in front 7-5. It's half-time at Mansfield Park, and it's currently Hoyk 12, GHA 7, and Archie Falconer try for GHA. Not quite sure who the scorers are yet for Hoyk, but no doubt Alan Lorimer will be letting us know very, very shortly. Jed Forrest 7, Edinburgh Accies 19, and a red card for Jed Forrest, as Andrew Fleming has just said. Callum Young has scored Jed Forrest try. Rory Campbell, the latest for Edinburgh Accies, they lead 19 points to 7. Down here, of course, at Philippock, our featured match, it's Selkirk 0, Heriot's Blues 12. Charlie Jupp scoring first for Heriot's, a second one coming soon after, and that's the Premiership, of course, because no games for Mar or Curry today. Mar, in fact, sitting in the clubhouse now. They've done their 18 matches. All they can do is wait now, and they'll be hoping that Heriot's Blues can get the points away from Selkirk today. Selkirk needs 6 points from their remaining 2 matches, and of course they visit Curry next Saturday. International 1, it's Ayr 12, Dundee 0 at half-time. Gala have the half-time lead against Highland. It's 15 points to 0 for Gala. Melrose 11, Biggar 10, tight at the Greenyards. Stuart's Melville against Aberdeen Grammar. That was the only 2 o'clock kick-off today in National 1. And Aberdeen were down 24-5. They've come back to win that. Stumel 24, Aberdeen Grammar 26, but Stumel 2 points for them for their National 1 campaign, and Stirling County 5, Kelso 24 is a latest score. Still waiting to hear news from Myerside, Watsonians against GHK. International 2, and we say get well to Mickey Unotto, who's normally covering the game for us today, but he's ill in bed, so we hope you get well soon. You would have enjoyed covering this one because it's ended. Berwick 62, Cartha Queen's Park 17. Boroughmuir 12, Lasswade 17 is a full-time result. Falkirk 48, Hamilton 14 is a full-time result. And good news for Peebles, they've won at Glasgow Accies, done the double over them. Glasgow Accies 5, Peebles 13 is a full-time result. Still waiting on Newton Stewart against Kirkcaldy. That's a big match, first against fifth there. And Preston Lodge 24, Dumfries 17 is a full-time result. Another couple of East League full-time results for you. Earlston 3, Edinburgh Northern 50. Edinburgh Northern stay top of the table. Of course, Hoyk Harlequins are trying desperately to win that title off them. They have games in hand, and one of them was actually played today, which came under the radar because I didn't know about it. But it's Hoyk Quins 24, Gala YM 15. That's a final result. 4 point, possibly 5 points for Hoyk Quins, but they've won that by 24 points to 15. And a good effort from Gala YM. They're getting to within 9 points of their local rivals. We'll be back after the break.
Borders Rugby TV's charity partner, Evie's Baton Journey, is having a ball on March the 25th at Springwood Park, Kelso. Tickets and sponsorship details are now available at the official Facebook page, which you can visit from the Borders Rugby TV homepage. Evie's having a ball, March 25th, Springwood Park, Kelso.
To commemorate the 7th anniversary of the opening of the Borders Railway, an 8 DVD box set is now available featuring the complete series Borders Railway from start to finish, plus the full hour-and-a-half documentary 5 Years On, which examines the possibility of an extension to Carlisle, plus extra features including a cab journey along the entire Borders Railway, all for the special price of just £14.99, including post and packing. You can get your copy direct from hotdisc.co.uk/shop. That's hotdisc.co.uk/shop. The 8 DVD box set, The Complete Borders Railway, is available now.
Hi, Nicky Walker here, Curriculum Manager for Borders College Sport. Are you passionate about sport? If so, then look out for the return of our Borders College rugby, football and hockey courses in early 2023.
Borders College, regionally focused, globally engaged.
Based in Galashiels but covering the whole region and beyond, Borders Mortgage Hub is your one-stop shop for all things mortgage related in the Borders. Visit us at bordersmortgagehub.com or call us on 01896 807 008. That's 01896 807 008. Borders Mortgage Hub. Mortgages for the Borders in the Borders.
When the weather's dreich and a storm's a brewing, you need a strong, windproof, quality umbrella delivered with good old-fashioned customer service and at an affordable price. Up here in Umbrella Heaven, we say you tackle the ball, we'll tackle the weather. UmbrellaHeaven.com. Brave the storm.
This is Borders Rugby Special on Borders Rugby Radio.
5 to 4 is the time. We'll be welcoming back onto the Philip Hawke pitch very shortly. Selkirk against Heriots. It's currently Heriots who have the lead by 12 points to nil. Couple of tries to nothing. Musselburgh, of course, of interest as well. It's their last game today. They're at Glasgow Hawks, currently leading 20 points to 10. GHA currently down 12 points to 7 at the moment to Hawick, of course, at Mansfield Park. Couple of tries for Hawick and an Archie Faulkner one for GHA. And Jed Forrest fighting back despite being down to 14 men now. It's Jed Forrest 14, Enbracky's 19 at half-time. A Robbie Shirra-Gibb try in that one. But let's return to Scott Tomlinson and also to Bruce Millar, our commentary team for today. And just reflecting on that first half before the teams come back again, Selkirk have it all to do, but they certainly are playing in the direction that they really enjoy playing.
Well, yeah, they do, and I think they'll have had a few words of wisdom from Michael Jaffrey and Scott White. I mean, pretty disappointing, to be fair, the first half. You know, it was in 1952, I think, when Selkirk won the Scottish Championship. It was a long, long time ago. So when you get that opportunity,
you don't remember that, do you, Scott?
I certainly don't. But when you get that opportunity, you've got to take it. You know, an opportunity to stay within the top four and then get a chance to try and to be within the playoffs. And at the moment, it's Heriots who have got a lot to fight for as well. But Heriots certainly seem the better team at the moment.
Well, certainly Heriots are back on the pitch. We can just about make out a few of the numbers there, but I'm hoping that Selkirk come out in white. Yes, they do.
They're not going to stay white for very long. As you say, they're changing jerseys, so we'll read their numbers for the next 5 minutes or so. But I think very shortly the two teams will just be back to being 30 kind of muddy brown coloured jerseys, and we'll not can tell who's who again.
And a couple of substitutions I think already, as James Head's on the field and Connor Ward's on the field, so I think that'll be for Andrew Cochrane and Callum Turnbull. So the 2 second rows, I think, at the moment. Yes, Ross Nixon's slowly making his way onto the field last on the pitch, and that'll make a big difference in the Boiler House. A bit weight and a bit strength.
So second half back underway. It's Selkirk in their new white jerseys, kicking off right to left now as we watch from our commentary position. A good strong carry, driven back by Ross Nixon, who's certainly to the fore in the first half for the home side, making nuisance of himself there now and trying to put pressure on the scrum half. And it'll stay in field, taken by the Selkirk number 8, Andrew McComb. And changes there at Selkirk. Ethan McVicker on it at scrum half for Selkirk, is it?
Yeah, it is.
I think,
as well,
yes.
Yeah.
And through the tackle there goes Josh Welsh.
Yeah, so Selkirk showed their hand certainly in the coaching capacity, really trying to up the tempo now.
You did say they needed to make changes. Luke Petty looked like he'd lost that ball, but still with Selkirk, and Craig Jackson, but he's way back now, just on his own 10-metre line. Referee playing an advantage, and I think fair to say there's no advantage accruing there. It was knocked on by
I think the officials
Heriot.
probably need to have a quick look at themselves. To be fair, they missed a high tackle there on Andrew McComb, and then a blatant knock on there as well. So referee needs to take control of this game. I mean, it's a massive game for both teams on both ends of the table, really, to be fair, and there's certainly there'll be no love lost now. Selkirk will be with James Head back in the boiler house. He'll be expecting big things for the park.
Selkirk with 40 minutes to rescue their hopes of playing in a league semi-final. 1952 last year they won the championship.
Yeah, it was a good few years ago when I played. We were first for a long time, and then eventually we petered away at the end. With Kev Barry was the coach at the time. We played really some great rugby with Fraser Hartness and Lee Jones, but certainly never been within contention or been within the playoffs, certainly.
Well, a good dominant scrum again, picked up at the base by Andrew McComb, but hit hard by Heriots, and they've snapped that ball up. Once again, the visitors in possession on the Selkirk 10-metre line. They realise there's nobody at home at the back, and that's a good kick over the top, being chased there by Mike Gray. The Heriots right wing, it's gone loose, and if Gray can snap this up, well, it bounces in field, and that has been picked up by, was that Bobby Kay on hand, but the referee says it was knocked on.
Some excellent work by Sam Wallace there, the Heriots 7, to make the big hit on McVicker and then turn him over straight away, and then to have the knowledge as a scrum half for Graham Wilson to kick it over the top when the back line was there was excellent.
Yes, for Selkirk, of course, trying to transition quickly from attack to defence. Nobody at home at the back, and just that experience to send it long, and it could have worked for Heriots. The ball had gone loose, and Heriots had a chance to get a hold of it, but the referee says it was knocked on. So we've got a scrum 5 metres out from the Selkirk try line. Again, 20 metres or so in from the stand side of the pitch. And I think maybe Selkirk looking to see if they can win themselves a penalty from here. It's the first scrum they've been under a little bit of pressure, but now they're trying to get that secondary drive on, and they are playing for the penalty. The scrum half change Ethan McVicker on there, just telling his pack to keep driving. The referee having none of it. It's kind of skewed round to the left, and eventually the referee awards the penalty to Selkirk, and a chance for them now to clear their lines.
And that's a couple of chinks there, I think, as head coaches Scott and Michael Jaffrey and Darren will be looking at. So the scrum is very dominant at the moment, and also Heriot's 10 struggles, does not like tackling, and it may well be not the way Selkirk want to play by playing open, expansive rugby, but at this day, the way it is sitting at the moment, and the conditions it is sitting at the moment, I would be looking to try and play up front and start carrying at their 10.
Other than what you've just identified there, that there weren't an awful lot of chinks in that Heriot's armour in the first half.
You're right. You're correct, Bruce. You're right. They played well the first half. I mean, Phil Smith will be absolutely delighted with how they played in the first half, and can they continue it?
So James Bett to throw into the line out on his own 10, midway between the 22 and 10 metre line. Really, James Head an option now at the front. Bit of movement again in the Selkirk line out. It's scrappy, but it does come back, and McVicker races away through between two Heriot's players up over halfway. He didn't have a lot of options with him, just has to take that into contact, and a good tackle by Mike Gray to stop him in his tracks on the Heriot's 10 metre line, but the crowd noise gets up, in come the hands from Heriot's, but a good clear out there. Luke Petty involved, James Head involved, and again it's Ross Nixon gets hands on the ball, just crawls his way forward and play up now just outside the 22. Nice little inside ball from James Head to his captain Luke Petty there. He realised the defence were racing up on him, and he just held his ground, dropped the ball off to Petty, and then fed back inside again to the Selkirk forwards. Again, the crowd just getting themselves into this one now. It's the first time in the game the home side have given them something to cheer about, but off their feet at the breakdown, and a penalty to Heriot's.
Yeah, the Selkirk got isolated there, didn't they? There was no reason why they should have got isolated. It was just a really good defence, a good hunger and desire for that ball for the Heriot's back row. Martin Hughes, I think, was the guy that won that breakdown in there.
Well, we said in the first half, Heriot's just able to go through phase after phase after phase, and a good efficient breakdown, whereas Selkirk have struggled to go through more than 2 or 3 phases, and again incurring the wrath of the referee. One of the Heriot's players down for a little bit of treatment. I mean, on a positive note, change at half-back, Ethan McVicker coming on, and it was him that set up a great break.
It was, because it was right in amongst the mud and the glare, but it was a really good break. I thought the connection with Larkin Ferguson, he done really well to get on his shoulder, his right hand shoulder, but Ethan never seen him, and he kind of went left, and it was a good tackle by Heriots. But And that's what's needed. We need to stop the pressure. So there's a lot of pressure going on Aaron McComb at 10 there, and having a break in scrum half there will stop that pressure a wee bit. There'll only be in 2 minds now whether the scrum half's going to break or not. And to be fair to Ethan, he needed to make that break because he made a couple of mistakes there that nearly cost him, so that'll maybe settle his nerves a wee bit as well.
A quick reminder that Selkirk, from the remaining 2 games, need to pick up 6 points if they're going to overhaul Mar for that 4th place. Mar's season already finished, so they just have to sit and wait and see what Selkirk can do. Still a trip to Millennium Park to face 2nd place Curry Chieftains next week for Selkirk. So at the very least they need to pick up a point today. That would leave them going up to Curry looking for 5 points, which you'd have to think was a big ask, albeit their away form has been better than their home form. But as I say, at the very least they need a point. At the minute they trail 12 points to 0. Heriot's, after a little break in play from the penalty, send that one just into the Selkirk half. So it will be Danny Dineen again, being very accurate at the line out. Plenty of men to throw to that one. And we just said that, commentator's curse stolen for the first time today by Selkirk, and back it comes to McVicker. So it's Selkirk then, in fact it's McVicker in there now digging for the ball, finds James Head. It was a low pass, Head did well to snap that one up just on his own 10 metre line. So centre field, forwards go round the corner. The Heriots defence has been good at numbering up. They didn't follow, they stayed on the blind side, so they had enough men there to make the tackles. McVicker just creating that little caterpillar now just to make his clearing kick easier. It's probably a positive, if you like, from Selkirk. Maybe played a little bit too much in their own half in the first half, but they opted to kick there. However, not a great kick, just makes 5 metres or so, and taken by Heriots. Still in the Selkirk side of halfway through the middle. There comes Nixon. If anybody in a Selkirk jersey today has fought for the cause, it's Nixon. And I thought that was going to come up on the Selkirk side. I'm not sure the crowd agree with the referee, but Selkirk going off their feet there. Penalty once again to Heriots.
Yeah, I tend to agree with the Selkirk crowd, to be fair. I thought Ross Nixon done really well, and then the Selkirk Park got in behind him. The ball was clearly out, and funny enough, the person who fell on the ball was Bruce Riddle. And Bruce Riddle's a referee as well. He knows when the ball's out and when the ball's not out. But never mind, it's Heriot's ball. Another good kick into the 22.
Yeah, there's only one man's opinion counts. That's the referee, Callum Worsley, bright red jersey. So from the penalty, right on the centre spot. Out it goes again from Rory Carmichael. So Dineen, well, his last line out was snaffled by Selkirk, so it's maybe giving them confidence to go up again. A little bit of movement. Sean Johnson runs forward and Jupp comes to the front of the line out, and it has been stolen. I think that was James Head. It was got a hand to it. A little bit scrappy, but it comes back on the Selkirk side. That's 2 steals in a row from the Heriots line out, which was immaculate in that first half. And again, that little caterpillar set up. McVicker threads the ball back through the legs and puts boot to ball. It's a better kick this time, and taken by Stanier. He's dropped that one head. Half of Selkirk bearing down on him there. 3 players chasing, and he has knocked that one on.
And it's getting very scrappy in there. For me, and he is actually. The referee's just pulling both captains across. The breakdown's getting very scrappy in there now. He's not managing it well enough for the players, and the players in discipline starting to cause a few problems for him as well. He's just having a wee chat with him. But Selkirk need to up the tempo of the game. It's not the way Selkirk normally would play. Certainly the times I've watched them this year, they play a high intensity game, forwards working around the corner, and then feeding good ball to 10 and 12 to control the game. That's not happening today at all, and that's fair play to Heriots for stifling them. Heriots have got a lot to play for today. They do not want to give them good ball.
And in some ways, you've just alluded to the fact that Selkirk probably want to play a fast-paced game, a wide game, and it's a bit unfortunate when your home pitch doesn't really allow you to do that, because it's really cut up badly.
That's certainly a concern. I was very surprised when I turned up today to see the state of the pitch. There's been a lot of money spent on this pitch over the years with the floods the Selkirk's had in the past. And it's possibly maybe that's something that's maybe needed required, or indeed for the players to stay off it during the week, because it's certainly cut up terrible today. Yeah,
it looked like they've been training it during the week, certainly when we arrived today, but from the scrum it's fed straight out to Craig Jackson, who carries hard into contact. This is better from Selkirk, another good carry up over halfway, and quickly to the breakdown at McClymont, I think, and then cleared by James Bett. The scrum half finds Connor Ward on in the second half. It's 2 big second rows Selkirk have got now, and then behind the forward, the pass there from Aaron McComb. Selkirk try to go a little bit wider. Good quick ball again from McVicker, but that ball can be taken cleanly. Referee says it goes backwards. A little bit fortuitous maybe from Selkirk. Not that time though, because holding on once again on the deck, and the penalty awarded to Heriots over on the far side of the pitch.
And the accuracy at the breakdown's no good enough for Selkirk at the moment.
Okay, let's bring in, whilst there's a slight injury on the pitch, some interesting score lines at the moment. Ayr 12, Dundee 13 is the latest score. Gala 22, Highland 5, Melrose 11, Biggar 10, Stirling County 5, Kelso 27, and the game that's been completed in that in that division today, Stumel 24, Aberdeen Grammar 26 in the basement battle. In the Premiership, it's Glasgow Hawks 10, Musselburgh 20, getting near full time now, and Jed Forest 14, Edinburgh Accies 26.
That's a huge turnaround in fortunes for Musselburgh, who looked gone for much of the season, and a win there today would secure them a Premiership spot for next season. And the way things are going here, Heriots likewise would remain in the Premiership, with perhaps GHA the team to go, currently sitting third bottom, but they would be leapfrogged by both Heriots and Musselburgh should things stay the same as they are now. Those both 2 o'clock kickoffs, so we'll find out before full time in this one what Heriots' fate will be. They still have a game next week anyway. Selkirk now getting a little bit more ball in this second half, and a bit quicker ball, it has to be said as well, and just able to put that Heriots defence under a little more pressure than they were in that first half. The ball threaded through again. It's difficult in these conditions, but that's been snapped up by Mike Gray just outside his 22. It's a little bit of applause from his teammates on the sideline. It's Heriots then in possession. Jupp goes in, and that's his scrum half, gives it to his second row partner Sean Johnson. The 2 Heriots locks have been very good today. However, Johnson got himself a little bit isolated there, and the referee says he's holding on, and the penalty awarded to Selkirk.
Yeah, and it's happened a few times. Heriots are on the back end of that one this time. Selkirk are fortunate, but he certainly likes this call for the holding on call. And Aaron McComb's got this penalty kick into the corner, 5 metres from the Heriots defensive line.
We're just hearing that it is full time through in Glasgow, and Musselburgh have won 20 points to 10. Remember, earlier in the season they were beaten 56 points to 0 at home by Glasgow Hawks. It's a huge turnaround in fortunes and form for them.
Yeah, that's a huge win up there at Glasgow Hawks. Not an easy place to go and win a game of rugby.
We still have to hear the outcome from Mansfield Park, where if GHA were to get an unlikely win, it might still not be enough for Musselburgh. But we will know all of that very shortly. But for now, let's focus on this game at Philip Hawke as Selkirk look to try and get themselves back into the game. Still trail 12 points to 0, but from the line out, they've got that maul well set. They're now about 4 metres away from the Heriots try line. Again, the crowd just getting a little bit more interested now. In play all the bodies, the back's now getting involved. The referee on the spot, he's having a very close look. Up goes the arm, and it is a Selkirk try. It's Selkirk 5, Heriots 12.
Yeah, good driving line out with Selkirk there. At least 15 metres, I would say they probably drove that line out there. Everybody was in, even Aaron McComb had his body weight, 10 stone soaking wet. But so I'm not very sure who scored the try, but certainly Ross Nixon's one of the slower ones up at the bottom of that ruck. So that's a good start to the second half for Selkirk. I think Heriots defended really well in that spell there, but Selkirk, I've watched it. Selkirk this year a good number of times, and it's been those driving lineouts that we've scored a lot of tries off this year. So getting the penalties, getting possession, playing in the right areas of the field is key for Selkirk if they want to get anything out of this game this afternoon.
I do wonder if it was Nixon, you say, he's the slowest man back. He's maybe just
he's had a really good game.
He's been superb, hasn't he?
For somebody that plays standoff or centre, for him to shift into this back row at his latter years of his playing career, it's great. It's great to see it. It just shows that even no matter what position you play, you can make a huge difference to a game of rugby. And because Ross is up against a really good back row in the Heriots back row of the day as well.
Let's quickly interrupt Scott Tomlinson there to go to the Green Yard. Sam Matthews, update.
Yes, it's all taking place here. Biggar are currently on the Melrose 5, but they've just conceded a penalty. But there has been a red card for Melrose in the previous section of play. Connor Spence, the try scorer for Melrose in the first half, he had a flailing arm and he went in rather, we'll say passionately, and it did strike the lower side of the Biggar winger's jaw, and that did result in a red card for Connor Spence.
12 points to 5. Craig Jackson unable to add the extras. We're still not entirely sure who the Selkirk try scorer was. Just a pile of forwards going over. You can barely read the numbers now, but Selkirk getting themselves back into this one. It's a good tackle made by Heriots. Had to be, because it was dangerous. Selkirk looking to race away from their own half down the stand side touchline. But Selkirk have given themselves a lifeline in this one.
Yeah, and you can see the high energy. There's a higher energy to the team now.
Very much so, yes, and just trying to play a faster paced game. At Heriot's doing well in defence, again just coming out the line, making tackles. It's not allowing them to get any momentum. A bit of footwork there, just trying to find a space out in the centres. McVicker again thinks there's a little bit of a gap, but that's closed very quickly. He's driven back. In comes Bet as that to act as scrum half, and once again they go down this stand side touchline, but a loose pass doesn't go out. It's lucky in the muddy conditions. The ball stopped dead and stayed in field, so it's still Selkirk in possession, but midway between their own 22 and 10 metre line. Just feeling that they're having to keep everything in hand. We've got about 25 minutes left to play here. 12 points to 5, and again the Heriot's defence is solid. They're perhaps a little bit narrow around the ruck here. There's space over on the far side. Heriot's with 3 men in the backfield, so expecting the kick. I think they might well get it. Again, it's so difficult to tell who's who here just with the mud, and I do wonder if the players are occasionally getting a bit confused. It looked to me like one of the Heriot's players makes the tackle on McVicker. Had to be offside, but the referee says no and awards the penalty to Heriot's.
I've not seen a game like this where it's been as muddy as this for a long time, actually.
I've played in a few.
Yeah, so have I. It's funny how it doesn't happen like that now.
In the old days when it was wetter and muddier.
A fair play to the players, though. The handling's been, apart from maybe a couple of scrum half, when their mud's been covering their hands, the handling's actually been really good. It's been really good. It's certainly been a contest. You can tell there's a lot at stake, and you can tell the tension of the crowd as well today. There's not. It's really interesting because normally you expect the crowd to get right behind them, but that's not the case today. It's really edge of the seat sort of stuff.
Selkirk just have to hold on here. They've got themselves back into the game. They trail 12 points to 5. Spoke about their building a little bit momentum. Their energy was up. They just have to not concede here, but they're defending about 15 metres from their try line. From the line out, Dineen, the hooker, finds his man. He's in possession at the back there, and Heriot's just trying to do exactly what Selkirk did to them just 5 minutes or so ago and drive over from 15 metres away, making good ground here, and that goes down, and the referee says it was dragged down by Selkirk, so a free ball here, and Wilson tried to kick that across field, couldn't quite make a connection with his left boots, and the referee comes back and will again award the try to Heriot's, but that was a good play from the visitors from the line out.
Yeah, another opportunity for Heriot's. They've got to take the scrum or the line out again, and they've got to go for the line out into the corner again, 5 metres from the Selkirk defensive line.
Well, no surprise really, because they drove that one. It looked like 6 or 7 metres. They made good ground there. They're now going to have a line out 5 metres away, so a really dangerous situation for Selkirk. And say they've got themselves to within 7 points. Still got 20 minutes left to play. So
it's a massive part of the game, though. This is a key moment for Heriot's and their potential of staying up in the Premier Division.
So it'll be Dineen once again, just a straightforward throw to Jupp in the middle there, and they quickly get their maul set. Dineen comes round, gets hands on that ball, and they're making good ground towards the Selkirk try line now. Referee playing an advantage because the Selkirk players just piling at the side. It goes to deck eventually, a metre or two away from the Selkirk try line, right in the corner, Heriot's right hand corner on the stand side of the pitch. Attacking from left to right as we watch from the back of the stand here. And the Selkirk defence again well set, with the Heriot's forwards just pick and go round the corner. That one comes squirting out the back and snapped up by one of the Heriot's players, who dives over there, and it's one of the props. I think it's perhaps Angus Munro.
Yeah, he took his opportunity really well, didn't he? Came squirting out the side of the ruck, and he picked it up and dived over the line. Well done.
Yes, it was always going to be a dangerous position there for Selkirk, and in fact I think it's the tight head, I think it's John Lascelles who's gone over it. It's nigh on impossible to read the numbers on the back of the jerseys of the Heriot's players now, but either way, Heriot's have got themselves a third try. It was from the line out. They had 2 attempts at it, and they kicked to the corner. The line out, clean take by Jupp, the first try scorer, in the middle of the line out. They formed them all well, and then they had another crack at it. The ball came squirting out the back. A chance for Selkirk maybe to race round the corner, but it was the prop, the Heriot's prop, who was first to react, snapped it up and dived over.
And it's amazing now how their energy, Bruce, you can see them all coming back, tapping each other on the back, really raring to go. They know they've got a good kicker in Graham Wilson as well, that may well convert the extra 2 points as well, and things are looking good for Heriot's. And Selkirk are standing on the try line just now with their heads down and pretty dejected and disappointed in themselves at the moment.
So conversion attempt by Wilson. It comes off the post, so unable to add the extras there. But Selkirk, having got themselves back into the game, have conceded again. They trail by 17 points to 5.
Quickly, let's go to Riverside Park. Andrew Fleming.
50 minutes on the clock, and it's Jed 21, Aki's 26. The visitors secured their bonus point 4 minutes into the second half, when substitute Cameron Bain was the beneficiary of a driving line-out maul, with Looms adding the extras. But credit to 14-man Jed, who continued to carry relentlessly and got the reward when space was created out wide for Mason Cowan to power through and dot down. Scott converting from the touchline, and Jed are again within 5 points. Jed 21, Aki's 26.
And back to the action here at Philip Hawke. Sounds like there's certainly some excitement around all of the grounds today. On the Heriot's 10-metre line, the referee is just having a little count. I think there's been changes being made for Selkirk. Is that Hamilton back on?
Yeah, they're taking young Easton off, and I think they'll move. Well, it looks like Hamilton's going to play outside centre, but I would be surprised if that happens. I think Cotterill will play probably outside centre. We'll wait and see.
We'll work out what's happening just shortly, but at the minute it does look like Hamilton, who started the game at scrum half, had a little break and is back on outside centre. But
he's a strong little runner as well, though, so I could see him playing. Most of these Selkirk backs now can play loads of numerous different positions in the structure that they play, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. But certainly if you want to see a wee bit buzz and something a wee bit fancy, then Cotterill would be your man at 13.
Yeah, he showed it well in patches in that first half anyway, from the line out. An infringement, a free kick awarded to Heriot, so they just send that one as high as they can, but a little bit too far, so snapped up by Selkirk, who just again put boot to ball, and really difficult in these conditions, just bounces about, nobody able to take it. The referee, I think Selkirk have knocked it on, so he's playing an advantage, but hacked through by Heriot. The referee decides that is not advantage, and will come back to a scrum for the visitors.
And you can see some of the players, some of the more experienced players are used to playing in this mud and horrible conditions, and some of the younger boys, I just watched Lachlan Ferguson just now in a ball in a clean, nice summer's day, he would catch no problem, and he struggled with it. So it's interesting to see. It's a real learning process for some of these younger ones today playing in these conditions.
Well, they've got to learn quickly if they want to get Selkirk the bare minimum of the point that they need from today's game, if they've got any hope of featuring in the end of season playoffs. So from a Borders point of view, very much love a Border derby in this semi-final. It should be down at Mansfield Park, like against Selkirk, but the referee not happy with that scrum. Just reset it again. So the scrum's just on the Selkirk side of halfway, 5 metres in from the stand side touchline. The players, the Heriots players in particular, just completely caked in mud. Very, very difficult to see those numbers. The Selkirk jerseys, the forwards, they came out in their new strip at half time are just about muddy brown now. The back's looking a lot cleaner.
Yeah, it's a massive scrum for Selkirk here. If we can just get a wee bit parity up front here, I look to have a good scrum.
Luke Petty certainly putting pressure on his opposite number, the try scorer John Lascelles, but a little bit too early. The referee said that the ball wasn't in, and Luke Petty just a little bit over eager, and nice little ball through between two players from Rory Carmichael. He's done well today in the 10 jersey for the visitors. He bossed the game in that first half when they were very dominant. Selkirk have a little bit more of the game in the second half, but again find themselves back deep inside their 22 over on the far side of the pitch. Just look to play through the forwards initially. There's a good carry up towards the Selkirk 22. Then behind the forwards now, and Selkirk, they will feel under pressure to play their way out of the 22. So out it comes to James Head, I think, on the wing there. Feeds that ball back inside. Now that's a high tackle. Had to be. The referee, for me, should have been a penalty to Selkirk where that tackle was made just down in front of us. But he was saying no advantage.
He played advantage, and then the high tackle came. So yeah, you probably would have said there was a penalty probably 10 metres in front. But good game management with Heriots. Charlie Simpson, the fullback, putting a nice kick down into that bottom left-hand corner, and after that free kick,
acrobatic there. That ball kept in field there. So the Selkirk penalty not quite going into touch. It's a very acrobatic save by, I think, Mike Gray, but he knocked it on as he tried to keep it in, and it nearly worked for Selkirk because it's snapped up by a Selkirk player. But either way, we'll come back. A scrum to Selkirk again, just down in front of us. A lot of the game seems to be playing the stand side of the pitch just now.
In amongst the mud, it looks like
it's a worst bit of the pitch, isn't it?
Andrew Cochrane and Callum McIntosh coming onto the field again, looking for that probably high energy, and they're going to need it for the last 15 minutes of this game if they want to get anything out of it.
Yeah, Callum McIntosh, another vastly experienced player.
So James Head's coming off. He's obviously not quite back to his fitness of where he needs to be. He has been struggling with it. I think it was a shoulder injury and some head knocks recently, so he certainly made a difference. So
I was going to say he made a real impact. Both changes was Connor Ward, the other change at half time, but 3 former Gala players on the field now in the shape of Callum McIntosh, Luke Petty, and on the other team Sean Johnston. It's another very dominant Selkirk scrum,
and it was just a slip though, wasn't it? There wasn't anything, you know. You tend to find that now with referees. It's just a pure slip, and look at the mud they're in there too. However, Selkirk will take the penalty, and McComb will be looking to make sure that it's in the right area of the field this time.
Yeah, John Lascelles, the tight end prop, he's been under a bit of pressure from Luke Petty, fair to say. So it was a slip, whether it was caused by the pressure of Petty, but his feet went from him. He's flat on his front. You can see the state of him. He's obviously face planted into the muddiest bit of the pitch. But either way, Selkirk have kicked that one into touch. So we're now midway between the Heriot's 22 and 10 metre line. Quick reminder of the score: 17 points to 5. The visitors lead. We've got about 12 minutes left to play in this one. Long throw at the back. I don't think that was straight. No, the referee agrees, and Selkirk just wasteful once again.
And difficult, you know, you're under huge conditions and you're expecting the hooker to throw a back ball. I mean, difficult.
Just quickly dip in here, because if it stays the way it is at the moment, with Hoyt leading 15 points to 7, that means no points for GHA. GHA will be relegated today. Musselburgh in the clubhouse, 20 points to 10 winners at Glasgow Hawks. And of course down here at the moment it's Selkirk 5, Heriots Blues 17.
Thinking of all the changes at the bottom of that table, it's absolutely it's fascinating at the top, but it's equally fascinating at the bottom here. And I don't think many people probably expected Heriots to come here today and go home with a win, but as things stand, they would go home with a very deserved victory and secure themselves a place in the Premiership again next season. So they kick the ball back to Selkirk there, who just returned that one. Again, that's scrum half Jack Hamilton back on the field, not entirely sure where he's playing. We think at outside centre, and then Ethan McVicker, who replaced him at scrum half, throws the ball to Jackson, puts boot to ball. He sees a bit of space in over on that far side of the pitch, and not an awful lot of pressure yet, so a chance for Heriots to play their way out their 22. It's a little bit disappointing defensively from Selkirk, as Heriots now race halfway up over the Selkirk 10 metre line, in fact, and eventually into touch over on the far side, but they've run that ball out of their own 22 and made about 40 metres there.
Yeah, that was you know what, it was a good educated right foot by Jackson to put it into the corner. His follow-up tackle was really poor though, and Simpson made an excellent break. He was looked quite sharp, to be fair, in the muddy conditions. But you know, you've got to make those tackles there and then playing in the right areas. I feel if he had made that tackle there, it would have been inside the 22. It would have been Selkirk ball, putting them under pressure, and a completely different game than what we're seeing now.
Yeah, there was definitely space there for Jackson to kick it into the backfield defence for Heriots. Were on the stand side, expecting maybe a kick this way. Instead opted to kick to the far side, but the two chasing Selkirk players just didn't make the tackle.
Yeah, no, and Jackson needs to make those tackles. That's part of his game, there's no doubt about that.
And then the ball stolen by Heriots. It goes from bad to worse for the home side, still trailing by 12 points. Went into the last 10 minutes of this one in the Premiership here at Philip Hawke. And it's Heriots got options again both ways. Sean Johnson and Jupp at second row pairing, standing waiting on the ball. It's Johnson that takes it and just tips that ball on and goes through two sets of hands to Bobby Kay, the captain. Cuts back in field. And play now again just outside that Selkirk 22. The forwards again waiting for it. It'll be Jupp this time who takes it. That scrum cap on. It started off orange. It's the same colour as the rest of his strip now. It's covered in, caked in mud, but he's been very good today. Jupp, the opening try scorer, only 5 minutes into this game. The Heriots breakdown has been very secure as well, and away they go. Nice little inside ball and hint of a gap there. The Selkirk defence just about managing to close the door. Play now inside the Selkirk 22. Nixon coming through the breakdown there, once again making a nuisance of himself, playing in the 6th jersey today. And in fact, that ball, I think probably courtesy of Nixon, has come back on the Selkirk side. Lost again though, really difficult conditions, and Selkirk having just turned it over inside their 22. Drop it there, and hand possession back to Heriot, so the scrum.
quickly dive in here because GHA are making a bit of a fight of it. 2 penalties for them now. It's now 15-13 to Hawick. Remember, GHA have to get more than just a bonus point in that game. Latest at Riverside Park, Jed Forest 21, Edinburgh Accies 33. It's 5-17 here to Heriot's Blues against Selkirk. Musselburgh already done and dusted, 20 points to 10 winners at Glasgow Hawks. And as I say, that scoreline at the moment, Hawick 15, GHA 13, and into National 1, Ayr 12, Dundee 13, still behind with about 5 or 6 minutes to go in that one. It's Gala 27, Highland 5. Melrose have scored a third try. Donald Crawford's gone over, 24-13 to Melrose against Biggar. Stewmel 24, Aberdeen Grammar 26 is a final score, and Stirling County 19, Kelso 34.
Here's some homework for you, Stuart, while you're sitting there doing nothing and we're talking away. I do wonder if that Musselburgh win, was it 4 tries, or have they made their 20 points up some other way? I'm just wondering if they've got a bonus point in that. That might
no bonus.
No bonus. So yeah, so still very interesting, that outcome down at Mansfield Park. Selkirk again under the cosh in this one. They trail 17 points to 5. 8 minutes left on our clock here. And 1 or 2 minutes extra stoppage time. Sorry, Stuart.
I should also add that GHA have a far superior points difference. Yes.
So yeah, should they win at Mansfield Park, they would. Well, Musselburgh were about to think that they've done everything that they need to do. But if GHA get themselves a win, they would still be equal in points with Musselburgh, and it may well still be Musselburgh that go down anyway. We'll chat about that.
More news, Melrose have got their 4th try, so they're on target for 5 points.
The only news here is that we eventually got the ball into the scrum, and it comes back on the Heriot side, just outside the Selkirk 22, again through the hands from Rory Carmichael. And tackle made by Selkirk, so breakdown midfield, but again it goes out to that left-hand side. As Heriot's in possession, just working their way through the phases. I mean, very, very secure with ball in hand today. The visitors very much up for it. That's a good tackle, comes in there by Selkirk. He's trying to hold the man up. They've done that a couple of times today, but it will come back again on the Heriot side. Again, just having to go down that blind side and making good ground. The tackle's not been made here by Selkirk, and I see the corner flag go over. Up goes the assistant's flag, and the tackle made. I think that ball had gone loose because it's McVicker who comes up with that, and the assistant referee has indicated it will be a Heriot's throw into the line out.
Yeah, good strong play by the Heriot's forwards again, wasn't it?
Very good, and again, just so secure in possession.
Yeah, they're managing the game really well, like they have done. You know, they started off well. They've got the 2 tries behind them. Certainly, the yellow card didn't help Selkirk at the time, but they're just controlling the game really well, and that's down to Carmichael and Graham Wilson, the old heads as they were, in a horrible sticky day like what it is.
And it's all happening again because Ayr have now taken the lead. It's Ayr 19, Dundee 13. That's 4 points that they've got at the moment as it stands with just 5 minutes to go. And Jed Forest have scored a 4th try. Paulo Ferreira's gone over. It's now Jed Forest 28 and Brackies 33.
You forget just how interesting these the closing games of the season can be with everything to play for at the top and the bottom. That's certainly the case here. And for now, it's the visitors piling into this maul from the breakdown. They've only got, I think, 2 men out here to the right, 13 men in the breakdown there. The referee having a very close look. I think the ball has gone over the Selkirk try line but held up. Well, in fact, it can't be because he's coming back for a scrum 5. That, of course, would be a goal line dropout.
Yeah, I have no idea what that call is there.
I wonder if he's got that one right.
Unless we're saying it's a knock-on by Heriot.
Well, we'll see who the scrum is explaining there to Luke Petty, but either way, we'll see who gets the scrum feed here. Again, that come from the line out, and Heriot's just piled everybody in. There was Carmichael and I think probably Mike Gray were the only 2 Heriot's players not involved in that, so they had 13 players in there, and they drove it 5 or 6 metres over the Selkirk try line, but the referee was there, he was on the spot, didn't award the try. And a little bit of treatment now to, well, one of the players, can't even is that Jupp, I think, comes up last there, one of the...
And what must be going through the Selkirk players just now, obviously, they're looking to try and get into that top 4 position. They must go down the other end of the park and get within 7 points and get that bonus point. It's crucial if they want to survive to the next week and they play at Curry. So they've got 4 minutes to kind of get themselves down to the other end of the park. Listen, a Selkirk team in the way they are, there's no doubt they're able to do that, but you know, it's a big ask in these horrible conditions today.
Well, Heriot's know that, as you say, they manage the game well. They know that if they keep Selkirk down here, that it'll be very difficult for them to break out. I think you're maybe right. I think it probably was knocked on over the line, in fact, because the scrum feed has been awarded to Selkirk, and they have found space down a 10 metre channel down that blind side, and away they go up over the 22. And they really have to just throw caution to the wind here, Selkirk, and there's space out wide if they can get it there. I think they've realised it's there. It's a bit of a loose pass, but it's taken by Cottrell. It's to cut back inside. He's dragged down by one line. Nice little wrap around there by Jackson, I think, and finds his winger out here on the stand side touchline. So good work from Selkirk. They've taken their way up to just about halfway, and again the energy levels come up for the home side, and the crowd noise goes up to match. McVicker feeds that off, and it was a good option there because the Heriot's defence came racing up. So kick pass across to the far side. A good play here by Selkirk as they keep the ball alive. Now up to the Heriot's 10 metre line. However, forward pass thrown, and all the momentum just dies as the referee awards the scrum to Heriot's.
Just I called it, to be fair. Selkirk are capable of playing, you know. I have my doubts if it was a forward pass across on that far side. I'll no doubt look at that later on. This is not finished though yet, you know. Selkirk have got everything to play for, desperate to get within that 7-point bonus point range.
Just a reminder that if Selkirk were to get themselves a losing bonus point here, they would trail Mar, who's currently sitting, their season is finished. They sit 6 points currently ahead, so they trail by 5. But Selkirk have a better points difference, and that would leave them with the opportunity to go up to Curry Chieftains, currently sitting in second place. If they could get themselves 5 points next week, then they would.
If the Foyke were to win today, Curry would have nothing to play for next week.
So a little bit of a delay in the action here. We're trying to work out the points differences here. I think it's probably Selkirk and Mar that we need to compare, and they're probably 50 points the difference. That would be down to about 40 points by the close of play today. So it wouldn't really matter. A victory, a 5-pointer up at Curry would be enough. Anyway, they need to get themselves a point here. We're back to the action on halfway, and it's Selkirk have won the ball. Jackson cuts back inside, goes through between 2 or 3 defenders and makes 10 metres. And Selkirk again look to get ball quickly from the breakdown. That Heriot's defence, that has to be a penalty. That would almost terrible. Be a yellow card. It's maybe the referee saying it's far enough away from that danger zone, but I don't know. That's
and Selkirk's
blatant.
On McDoon just now, obviously we've got a turnover in that scrum there, but again that ball should have been away, whipped away. If we can get quick possession, we'll start asking questions of that Heriot's defence. But again, we're in the line out in the Heriot's 22.
We've got more drama for you because Ayr have now got the bonus point try, so it's now Ayr 24, Dundee 13. So as it stands at the moment, Ayr, Melrose and Kelso all have 5 points today. We're back to square one.
And back to the action here at Philip Hawke. The clock in front of us says we're ticking into the final minute of the game. I can't think there'll be more than a couple of minutes of injury time to play, so I think it's now or never for Selkirk. They will throw into the line out a metre or so outside the Heriot's 22. It's tapped down a little bit untidily, but it does come up in Selkirk hands. So the home side do have possession. They drive forward, Heriot's hands come in and try and steal that, and the referee tells Heriot's to get back. Their defence is well set, and Selkirk thought about throwing the pass out there to get it to the backs. But, thought better of it and just carry it in through the forwards, and again a little tip on pass there. It's allowed Selkirk to make good ground there. However, forward pass again, and I think the referee, to be fair, was probably right. Selkirk maybe just forcing that one, and hands possession again back to Heriot's who make changes.
Yeah,
Archie Bogle, the front row, Archie Bogle.
Surely never got that haircut from Eyemouth. Dearie me.
You would like to think not. Came through, well, Eyemouth High School, and the system at Duns has had a little bit of Super 6 experience with Heriot's, currently playing for the Blues side, but solid prop.
Well. His mum and dad are Selkirk originally, believe it or not.
Bogle on. I feel that you're going to tell us something, Stuart. You're lining up your sheet in front of you. There's the scorelines coming in thick and fast from all over the country.
Yes, they are, and Melrose, it's all over down there. We'll join Sam very shortly, but Melrose have got their 5 points in the bag, 31-13 against Biggar in a very hard-fought game. More on that later.
I'm desperate to know what the result is down at Mansfield, a score at Mansfield Park between Hoyk and GHA, because that's got huge implications. From a Hoyk point of view, they will want to go through the season without having lost a game, and from a Heriot's point of view, it sort of matters how GHA fare in that one. Selkirk, again, let's focus on this one. They have to get their hands on the ball. We've got 3 minutes left to play in this one. They have to get themselves a bonus point. And it's Heriot's in possession midway between their 10-metre line and 22. And again, the referee, I'm not sure how many penalties Selkirk have given away today, but too many.
Yeah, far too many. I agree with that. They're obviously, and there's going to be times where you don't agree with the referee. You just got to listen to him, take your hands off the ball and then look defensively to try and fold. And again, it becomes that professional aspect that Heriots have brought to the table this afternoon.
Yeah, they really have been a class apart, it has to be said, from the home side for the bulk of today. However, a loose kick there.
Now it's a chance.
What's the referee decide there? A loud blast in the whistle. He said that knocked on. I mean, that kick, to describe to you at home what happened there, it was a Heriots penalty. I think the assistant's bouncing in there to describe what happened there and trying to explain it to the Selkirk side. They tried to keep that ball in. It looked like they had, but I think there must have been a foot and touch or something when he jumped, which means the ball is essentially out, and the line out throw will be for Dineen, the Heriots hooker, just on the Selkirk 10-metre line. They felt they'd kept that. They really need to go up and challenge this. They've not. So clean ball for Heriots on that Selkirk 10-metre line. They'll look to just keep this tight. And the referee, again, yet another penalty awarded to Heriots.
Yep. Playing in the right areas of the field, being professional at how to play the game, to starve the game out. I'm no doubt that Parker and Phil Smith will be absolutely delighted, along with the rest of the management, and a good support here from Heriots this afternoon to try and close this game out.
Well, they'll be looking to get themselves a bonus point try as well. 3 tries so far. Charlie Jupp, Fraser Staniel and John Lascelles, the try scorers. Can they get themselves a bonus point try from this line out in the 22?
This is the news you want. It's Hawick 15, GHA 12. GHA are relegated.
There you go. I will trust you there. I think you're right, assuming. Yes, you're absolutely right. Musselburgh have won. Heriots have got this game absolutely in the bag. And GHA, who started the day third from bottom, will be relegated.
Which is absolutely outstanding for Musselburgh, to be fair, in the situation they were at the beginning of the season to come back and win those games.
Won their last 3 games, so yes, a real change in fortunes for them, and deservedly will stay in the Premiership. Ball comes back on the Heriots side there. I'm not sure what that attempted kick was there, but
another penalty.
It was a penalty, so we're just again rolling the dice. And the referee is he going to? He's having a word with Luke Petty. He's explaining it. I thought he was going to go to his pocket for a yellow card. So a penalty awarded to Heriots, which just in the Selkirk 22, which allowed them to kick to the corner and perhaps one last chance at driving their line out over.
It's interesting. I've not got to listen to the refs, Mike, but it seems really Selkirk seem to be on the referee's back this afternoon. Obviously, decisions have not went their way, and once you start nipping at the referee, it can make a huge difference to the outcome of the game.
I'm not sure if Heriots will be aware of the fact that winning this game yet has saved their Premiership place, but for now they're just going for a bonus point try, and it comes again, taken cleanly in the middle of the Heriots line out, and once again the bodies pile in. That's a good drive, and momentum now with Heriots as they try and drive over the Selkirk line. The referee on the spot, just about getting in the way of the Heriots players, but up goes the arm and over go Heriots, and they do get the bonus point try. Fantastic performance from the visitors today, and that just puts the icing on the cake. It's Heriots 22, Selkirk 5.
Yeah, and you've got to say thoroughly deserved by Heriots. They've came down here at the Borders today, starved Selkirk team of possession, and have came away with a bonus point victory, which the management are absolutely delighted down here on the touchline.
Again, very difficult to see come up with that. I think it had to be Dineen. I think the hooker was the man at the back of there. There were so many bodies piled in behind there, but I think he would keep a hold of that ball. And the hookers, as they so often do in the modern game, scoring from the line out.
Yeah, and it's all went quiet here in the stand. Obviously the Selkirk supporters I'd be disappointed in the result today, and of course the way the team have played this afternoon. But I think Selkirk will be the first to acknowledge that Heriots thoroughly deserved their win.
So I think this will be the last action of the game. My clock says we've played 45.5 minutes of the second half. The conversion attempt from wide over on the far side of the pitch. We can just add the extras. Certainly a good clean kick, and the referee's assistants have a quick look at each other. The flags stay down, and with that the referee blows for full time. An outstanding performance by the visitors. They knew what they had to do. Disappointment for Selkirk, who didn't pick up the point that they needed to, so that means that their season essentially done and dusted. They still have to go up to Millennium Park next weekend, but they remain 6 points behind Mar and no longer able to get themselves into the top 4. So we know the makeup of the top 4, who will feature in the end of season league playoffs, and we now know that GHA, let's see who started the day third from bottom of the Premiership table, courtesy of wins on the road for Musselburgh and Heriots. They will be relegated, but it finished here at Philip Hawke. Selkirk 5, Heriots 22.
My goodness, what a breathless afternoon of sport we've had today, and Selkirk trudging off the field now. We'll hopefully get some reaction from both sides very, very shortly. They'll be talking to Bruce Millar, but let's go to Melrose, the Green Yards, and Sam Matthews waiting for us there. Full-time result.
Wow, well, the full-time result is Melrose 31, Biggar 13. Everybody here still trying to get their breath back. Donald Crawford, the saviour of the day and the saviour of 5 points for Melrose today in their race to get to the top of Nat 1. I'm just being joined by a player here, so we'll be in a second. But as I said, Donald Crawford with 2 tries towards the final 10 minutes of the game. Really went through. He had a lovely kick through from his scrum half, Bruce Colvin. He sent him over the top when they had some good attacking phase just outside Biggar's 22. And then as from the resulting kick-off, Biggar had the ball, tried to stretch it wide to really force the play. Donald Crawford identified the loose pass and the space, plucked out of the air and went straight through under the posts to give Dave Colvin his easiest kick of the day to get to that final score of Melrose 31, Biggar 13, 5 points for Melrose. Bruce Colvin joining me today. Was that for yourself and the team?
Tired, probably is the word. Nah, over the moon. Like Biggar, a real good physical side, and the scoreline probably doesn't truly reflect how stuffy the game was. You know, it was a 3-point game for the majority of that second half there, and thankfully towards the end we've managed to get a couple of scores and kind of put a bit of a kind of gap between us. But yeah, definitely a physical encounter, and probably a few sore bodies tomorrow.
Like you said, it was a tough game. How was it in that first half? Because my notes here, the scrums were not going your way for the first 10 minutes there.
Yeah, well, like it's not the ideal start to lose a prop in the first minute of the game for 10 minutes and having to kind of re-juggle and try to wrestle that momentum going with a 7-man scrum. But look, I think just kind of a bit of game management there was probably quite smart from us. With the scrum, yeah, wasn't kind of in our favour that first bit, but credit to the guys in there, they've kind of wrestled a bit of momentum back on the second half and definitely won some penalties in there, which is good to see.
And then for yourself, you've got such a talented backline with a real experience there, which was really one of the highlights we identified here at Borders Rugby for yourselves today. With that weather and that rain today, how was it trying to sort of keep a lid on the anticipation and the excitement that you had with that backline as the scrum half?
Look, you never want to restrict anybody from the ability they've got there. I mean, the full, like you say, the full backline is very talented and great with ball in hand. I think a key thing for us is earning that right to go and play. You can't simply chuck the ball about and just expect there to be space. But no, definitely Dave and Donald and the guys out in the width and stuff, any kind of kick receipt and stuff, it's always the first option is looking to run, which is always brilliant. It's always great to watch and pretty exciting, pretty tiring as a scrum half trying to kind of keep up with them.
And then how does this get getting that 5 points in what was considered quite a big weekend for everybody as we get to this head of the season?
Look, it's week by week at the moment. It's the old cliche of it's one game at a time, but it's very true. We focus ourselves Tuesday, Thursday. We look at each team that we're going to be playing. We focus on ourselves and our game plan and how we can best go out and win that. And it's no different. It's recovery tomorrow. It's recovery Monday. It's back in, reassess, go again Tuesday, and look, we no bones about it. It's a massive fixture for us next week down at Pointer Park.
Well, Bruce, like you said, congratulations today on the win and best of luck to yourselves next week. Cheers,
Thank
Bruce.
You. Cheers.
Bruce Colvin down there and Sam Matthews, and what a day it's been in National 2. It looked for a long time that Melrose and Ayr weren't going to be getting the bonus points. They both ended up winning with try bonuses. But let's have a look at the Premiership table as it stands. Hawick are going to be finishing the league at the top of the table. They've got 75 points. Curry in second on 67. In third place it's Edinburgh Accies 61, and in fourth, confirmed, Mar will be in the playoffs to play against Hawick at Mansfield Park. They end up with 51 points. Selkirk, fifth position at the moment, 45 points. They cannot do any more than that. Even if they win at Curry, they will still fall short of Mar. In sixth place, Jed Forest, even though they lost today by 33 points to 28. They got two bonuses, a try and a losing bonus. They also had a red card as well. But that result means that Jed Forest are up to sixth place in the table. just overtaking Glasgow Hawks, who are in 7th on 35. And then it gets really interesting because Heriots have gone up to 8th position on 30, Musselburgh 9th on 30, and GHA, who have now run out of games, and my goodness, they worked hard today at Mansfield Park, ending 15-13 to Hawick, but they, I'm afraid to say, will be relegated. So GHA will go down from the Premiership and will be playing in National 1 next season. And so, talking of National 1, the top 3 teams all won with bonuses. So Kelso 75, Ayr 72, Melrose 69. Gala won today. They're on 51 points now. Highland, who they beat, of course, the gap has opened up between them and Gala of 6 points now. So 5th is Highland on 45. In 6th, it's Biggar with 40. 7th, it's Dundee with 35 points. 8th, Watsonians on 32. 9th place, GHK on 29. 10th, it's Stirling with 27. And then the bottom end of the table, Aberdeen Grammar in 11th place today. They're on 15 points. Stuart's Melville in last on 11. And International 2, Newton Stewart stay top of the table. 5 points from them today. 63 they're on. But Falkirk goes second. They're now on 60. Glasgow Accies dropped to 3rd after losing to Peebles. They have 58. Peebles beat them, so they move up to 51 points, so within 7 of Glasgow Accies. In 5th place, Berwick, who had a big win today, getting into the 60s points. They go up to 5th, and that relieves a little bit of pressure on the relegation zone. But in 6th place now, Preston Lodge jumped from 9th with 39. 7th, it's Lasswade. They go up 1 with also 39. Dumfries, they lost today, but they did get a losing bonus, so they're on 8th with 37. Really tight. 9th place is Kirkcaldy have lost today, so they go down to 37 points for them. In 10th, it's Boroughmuir on 17. 11th, Cartha Queen's Park 16, and in 12th position it is Hamilton. Those are the league tables as they stand at the moment. We're just going to get a microphone and a headphone on to, I think underneath that mud, it looks like Luke Petty. It is Luke Petty, so we're going to get Bruce Miller to have a wee chat with him. Bruce Miller, who's now talking to the losing captain, Luke
Those
Petty.
Headphones will never be the same again. Poor Luke Petty, caked it in mud, and it's difficult to know what to ask you, Luke, because we came here with such high hopes that we had a chance of Selkirk getting themselves into the league playoffs at the end, and the chances gone today, and it just seemed the whole team, the atmosphere here today just seemed to be strangely flat given what was at stake.
Yeah, it's easy to come up here after the game and just talk about what didn't happen for us today, Bruce, and I think from start to finish it didn't happen. Started pretty well, got a field position, and from there on it was just everything was against us. Marched right down the field to score a pretty good try, but in terms of rugby, I think their 9 and 10 showed that they're just very experienced and put us in the right positions.
And from a Selkirk point of view, was it just that you couldn't get hold of possession? What do you mean? Do we credit Heriots for that, or was there a lot of pressure? We spoke about it. Did you feel under pressure as a team today?
No, I don't think trainings went pretty well. We trained 3 nights. It was a massive game, but it was always going to be tough. Swing it around to last season, we were in the same position as Heriots. We know how hard they were going to come at us, and to be fair, I think they've really done their homework and put pressure on us. I just said at the end there we have to regroup. We've got a big game at Curry again next week, and we're still in a good position for the season. We've got a border league and we've got a cup run to go on, so it's not all down in gloom here at Philip Paul. We just rebuild.
Yeah, in terms of things that you will have to look at if you're going to do well in those games that are still to come, 17 penalties you conceded today.
We talk about discipline, and we're just not quite getting it. Silly stuff where it's easier to just spread the field, stay on your feet, but we're having a go at the ball, we're losing that, we're going off our feet. Now it's terrible conditions out there, it's very tough for both teams, and I know the penalty counts the last 3 games have been well over the 15, so it's not good enough.
There were some good performances out there today. Ross Nixon came back in today. He's played in lots of jersey numbers for Selkirk this season. Blindside flanker today. I thought he gave you a real lead in the forwards.
Just nitty gritty, typical Ross, he'll stick in, doesn't matter what number's on his back, and this is his home club, and you can see there he wants to give 100% no matter what position we're in on the field. Credit to Ross, he's struggled on with a few injuries, but by Christ, he's a good old stalwart to have in the team.
Yeah. And I suppose one other thought in terms of looking forward to the games that have still to come. You just got to dust yourself off and head up to Curry and show everybody that what we've seen today is not really what Selkirk is about. You'll have to create more chances as well, because you didn't have an awful lot of possession, but when you did, it just seemed like you couldn't get into the 22 and you couldn't create opportunities. What do you think you have to change to create those chances?
Well, I think you asked the question, was there pressure on us? There's absolutely no pressure going into Curry next week, because it is a league game. It's a chance to rebuild and get a bit of momentum back within the squad. Of course, what we need to work on is getting field position, getting entries, so we can get an opportunity to go at them. We never had that today. I think we must have made one entry and scored one try. It's simply not good enough. If you're not getting field position, you can't win rugby games.
Yes, well, Luke, thank you very much for coming up, because obviously massively disappointed with the outcome today. So we'll let you head back then and get yourself a shower. But commiserations, but thank you for coming up and talking to us.
Cheers, guys.
Thoughts of Luke Petty there, the Selkirk captain.
Okay, we're going to bring in the HERIOT'S captain now. We're just going to swap over microphones and headphones, and we'll get him over to the microphone. 3 or 4 minutes left on the programme, so it's absolutely perfect timing. I've no idea who's underneath all that mud, but if you could pop
Bobby
that
Kay,
on there.
he thinks. Yes,
Bobby Kay, we think.
Bobby Kay, who started in the 12 jersey, the same number as everybody else now. By the end of yes, we could hardly tell what was happening. But I mean, that was an outstanding performance. We knew what you had to do today. You were under pressure as well. We spoke to Luke Petty there about the pressure they were under. You were under probably more pressure to try and save your spot in the Premiership, and you must be incredibly proud of the performance today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say that kind of relief is the overwhelming emotion that we've had today. To be honest, we came down here knowing we had a good job to do, and that Selkirk were obviously going well in the league, and they had something to play for as well. So it wasn't going to be a middle of the table team that we're just going to roll over. So no, immensely proud of how the guys played, and they stuck in right to the end to get the extra try that we needed as well. So no, hugely proud of the boys.
And in terms of the features of your game, I thought your ball retention in particular and your breakdown work was superb, and it allowed you to go through phases, put pressure on Selkirk, and you got yourself 4 tries as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we knew that kind of discipline was our big thing going in, especially in attack. We're not wanting to kind of lose the ball the way that we wanted to apply pressure, by keeping the ball, keeping it in the right areas of the field. It was a big focus going into the game. It was, we managed to achieve that. I feel. I think that was key to how we went today. Absolutely.
You maybe won't want to give credit to just a few individuals, and probably not to yourself. But we've written down some of the key players today. The centres, you and Oisin Quinn. I thought your locks were absolutely superb today in really difficult positions. And Rory Carmichael, especially in that first half, just pulled the strings and didn't give Selkirk a chance.
No, absolutely. Sean Johnson, Charlie Jupp went very well in the second row. It was definitely a day for them. A lot of hard work around the park, working ruck to ruck, going brilliantly a line out of time as well. So no, they did brilliant for us. A number of guys stood out.
So Premiership rugby again at Golden Acre next season.
Yeah, thankfully.
Congratulations on the win today. Enjoy your journey home.
Oh, we will do. Don't we worry. Cheers.
The thoughts there of Bobby Kay, victorious HERIOT'S Blues captain today, and a quick reminder of the final score. 4 tries for HERIOT'S, bonus point victory, 22 points to 5 winners against Selkirk.
What a day that's been, breathless from start to finish, thanks to Bruce Millar and also to Scott Tomlinson, of course, who've been in the commentary box today here at Philip Hawke. It never stopped raining. The pitch now, well, I wouldn't want to be the groundsman tomorrow, let's put it like that. But what a fantastic win for HERIOT'S, who had all the pressure on them. It's not to be for Selkirk, but they will finish in 5th position in the league. So let's do the closing headlines tonight for you then. In the Premiership, there were wins for Musselburgh, for Hawick, for Edinburgh Accies and HERIOT'S Blues. In National 1, victories for Ayr, Gala, Melrose, Aberdeen, Kelso and Watsonians. And in National 2 locally, good wins for Berwick at home to Cartha Queen's Park, getting into the 60s. Peebles winning at Glasgow Hackies, doing the double over them. And in the East Leagues, it was a win for Ross High at Duns. The game between Dalkeith and Hoyt Lindeen was postponed. Earlston lost at home to Edinburgh Northern, the top of the table team. And Galloway AM losing out just to Hawick Harlequins. Well, next week we'll be coming to you live from Poynter Park for the big National 1 derby match between Kelso and Melrose, but also obviously keeping an eye on Selkirk's match at Curry just to see how they do in their incredible away form this season. Plus all the matches with score updates throughout the afternoon. That's in 7 days' time. But now from me and the team, thanks for listening and bye for now.